All right, Monday night, Krug show. Dieter is in the house. The Niners lost. The Monday night game was a snoozer, but we always got a lot to get to. Let's go. Off and running Monday night after the Monday Nighter goes to the Eagles in Green Bay in a game that, man, was rough. It was rough. It was not a great game.
About it, right?
Not a great game to watch. I bet the Eagles at the last second. I talked about the Packers, and I thought about the Packers, and I was leaning towards the Packers. But then, you know what? I was talking to Chase Sr., who covers the Eagles, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm talking to a guy who covers the Eagles. He's probably got a pretty good feel for this. So I'm like, Chase, what do you think? What do you like tonight? You like the Eagles or you like the Packers? He's like, oh, yeah, definitely like the Eagles coming out of the bye week. If it wasn't coming out of the bye week, I would say I'd go with the Packers, but I like the Eagles coming out of the bye. So I'm like, all right. But then I'm thinking, man, are the Packers really? I bet it. But then right before the game, I'm like, are the Packers really going to lose?
Right.
Back-to-back games at Lambeau. They're one of the best home teams in football. And then I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to roll with it. I think it's kind of a coin flip game anyway. I'm just going to go with the Eagles. And sure enough, my own words in my head were going, it's a coin flip game. It's a coin flip game. And it felt like that the whole game. Weird. It was 0-0 at halftime. How many games have you watched in the NFL that are 0-0?
I believe we call it 0-0. Thank you.
Nil.
I mean, that was there is no comparable hockey team for Wisconsin, or I would have made the joke, but there isn't. And so they ruined even that. We couldn't even make fun of it correctly because that was a hockey score, a soccer score. It was a tough watch. I was glad that my children decided to completely melt down at some point in the second half. And I'm like, oh, I'll take it, honey. Don't mind me. I'm going down. I'll take care of both of them. It was awful.
Seeing you in that Giants hat, it's just, it's
unsettling, is it not?
Well, I mean, I'm a lifelong Giants fan and a Bay Area native, but you're from Chicago, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a White Sox fan.
Yeah, which is my mom's team. My late mother was a big White Sox fan. She was born in 42, so that made the 59 go-go song.
Yeah, the go-go White Sox, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Minnie Minoso and all those guys, and
Kozinski.
Ted Kluszewski.
Yes. Kozinski, I believe, was the Unabomber, so that's quite different.
Not the Unabomber, but Kluszewski.
He was hitting bombs, though.
Kluszewski used to cut his sleeves off, right? He just had these
guns.
And then they also had Luis Aparicio.
Uh-huh.
And they were good.
Lions, and
they lost the 59 World Series to the Dodgers.
That's right. They played
Dodgers
that.
Came up with a reliever named Larry Sherry, who was Norm Sherry's brother, who was a Giant pitching coach under Roger Craig. And Larry Sherry was a righty kind of curveballer, I think, and he just shut down the White Sox over and over and over again in that series. And he was the winner. He was the reason that Dodgers won the 59 series.
Was that series not played at the LA Coliseum as well?
It was.
Yeah. Two cathedrals of baseball, Old Comiskey Park, the original, which was just a rat-infested tinderbox, and the LA Coliseum with its, what was it, like 230-foot portion to left and a giant net.
It might have been 206 or something like that.
They played an exhibition game there maybe about a decade ago, and it didn't go great.
Yeah. It was a super short dimensions.
The opposite of what they did at Mile High Stadium when the Rockies were their expansion team, and I believe Dwayne Kuiper was on the call for that team, and they would play at Mile High Stadium where the Broncos play, and they put up, temporary fencing at like 450 to like left. It was insane.
Left field line at the LA Coliseum for baseball when the Dodgers came west.
Yeah.
Was 250 feet.
Yeah, that's right.
But they put up a 42-foot screen to make it more difficult. So there you
baseball. We pine for the old days, huh?
They loved it though. They loved it because they could pack the house. They could bring, tons and tons and tons of people there, and the Dodgers loved it. And of course, soon became a monster in LA, and we all know where it is ended up right now. All right,
I haven't heard what happened.
yeah, things are bad. They're on top. Everything's bad. But let's talk a little Niners. And
that real nice segue there. Let's go from bad to bad, huh?
Yeah, let's go from talking about the Giants to talking about the Niners. Niners lose, and it shouldn't be all that surprising because they were going up against a Matthew Stafford who's having an MVP season, probably his best season. He's taking care of the football. They're going up against a Rams team that had a really good defense and has a really good offense. And just look at the Rams. You say, well, wait a second. With their defensive line and that offense, they're going to be, if not the last team standing, they're going to be close. They're really, really good. And I talked a lot about it in the lead up, and I'm like, okay, the key to this game is the Niners have to win on first and second down and get into manageable thirds because they can't get into third and long against this team because of death. And at times they did that, and at times they didn't do it. But either way, the Rams won on third down. The Rams, the Rams, came out and ran the ball effectively, 6.5 yards a carry on the first drive. The Rams, the Niners had to play from a lead, couldn't play from behind. Quickly, they were down 21-0. And I guess the only thing that really surprised me is that the 49ers it's like they turn on. It's like Kyle Shanahan turns off his computer, his mind when things are when he's going to lose. It's like he makes some of the worst decisions ever in these games where he's going to lose and he's having a hard time coming to grips with it. It's like you're down multiple scores to the Rams. The game is over. He's still got Mac Jones in there. He still has George Kittle in there. He still has Christian McCaffrey in there. If he loses any of those guys, the season goes from you're kind of screwed to you're totally screwed, and he doesn't care. He doesn't adjust. It's like once he's all about the W, and when the W can't be had, it's like caution to the wind. Screw it. Who cares? We're going down fighting. Well, what if you lost Kittle there? What if you lost CMC there? What if you lost your starting quarterback there? It's like none of that stuff registers with him. He thinks about those kinds of things, I'm sure, during the week, but once the game starts, totally forgets risk reward and everything that goes into, risk reward, and he's making. I can win a bet for $5 and I'm risking 1,000. It's like, well, why are you trying to win a $5 bet risking 1,000? I mean, I don't know what to say about his coaching. On one hand, I think he's very smart, borderline genius, really one of the better coaches in football. But then in moments like that, and then the game before where he's up 10, he's up multiple scores inside of 3 minutes in the Meadowlands on the worst turf in the league, and he's still running Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, that one was way more heinous than I thought anything there because they did score a touchdown on that drive with 5:10 to play.
Yeah.
Down 3 touchdowns, to be fair.
Okay.
But no, agreed, down 3 touchdowns, but they gave the ball back at just 3 minutes to play, and it didn't matter. They never that is, I don't mind them having the offense on the field there. What I do mind is when the Rams have now dwindled the clock down to next to nothing, you keeping out your second stringers, which are now your first stringers, to prove some, but you're down 16 and you're not getting the ball back. They're going down the field with impunity. I mean, here's the Rams drive chart. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. They then decided to take a couple of series off, punt, halftime, which that actually, if we want to talk about game management, that the pre-halftime situation, way worse. But to finish it out, Rams come back, touchdown, 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 kneel down. So it doesn't really matter who was on the field on offense, I guess. You can make that argument. At the same time, you have to play. You have to play until the end. You can't put quit in the mind of your team because this team has every good reason to quit. Like there is no team in the NFL that should be more. I mean, maybe the Jets, maybe the Browns, but like if you're talking about like a team that had some expectations, a team that's had everything go wrong for them, and yet are still somehow 6-4 and have a chance to make the playoffs. Like this team has, you put quit on the menu for this team, they might just take it because this is brutal after a year of brutality, after being tired post Super Bowl and a brutal ending there. Like quit is very viable for this team. So Shanahan, I do think, has to think about the culture and this, hey, we're fighting all the way, because if you give them, I got a toddler, I got a 3-year-old, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And when the option is to quit, like take it from a lazy guy, like I'll quit. Hell yeah, brother. Let's do it. Let's take the rest of this one off. The issue with this was the fact that this defense couldn't do jack squat, which was somewhat to be expected, but maybe not to this degree. But to go back to what I was saying about at halftime.
What were you referring to there? Are you referring to the Niners drive, or the Rams kneel down?
The Niners punting the ball with 55 or with 11 seconds remaining in the second quarter. And
I actually thought it was 19, but go ahead. Either way.
It says 11 here, so I guess
when the Rams got it back, it was 11. Like the Rams,
so 19. Yeah, you're right. It was 19. So the final snap was at 19. But preceding that, because it was a 5-play drive, preceding that, there was a second pass interference missed, I believe, on Juwan Jennings. Right. Okay. It was bad. That was bad. There was 2 bad calls there. Doesn't matter because all you did was give up touchdowns. But yes, there were 2 bad ones, and the stadium ops was having a field day yesterday, being like, we are being screwed. They thought that the whole thing was rigged, and it was frankly embarrassing. I got a lot of emails about it from people who were at the game being like, how did you not see all these penalties? And it's like, because I'm not the game ops zooming in on something 45 yards away from the play and being like, this is all a fraud. So game ops, calm the hell down. But on that drive, that was unquestionable. That was a terrible missed penalty. The second missed PI of the game. I forget, McClendon had him. And the Niners spent so much time bitching and moaning about it that they got to delay a game.
Yeah.
That's how you knew they didn't stand a chance.
Inexcusable.
That's inexcusable from the head coach, to not be able to control yourself enough and to not be able to control your team enough to get them lined up and ready to go. They didn't stand a chance. It wasn't like Mac is slapping his hands and saying, like, snap the ball. They weren't even lined up. The clock was going, and they were just standing around like Draymond Green or Anthony Edwards or Luka Doncic, just yapping. Like, how'd you miss it? Look at the score.
Well, they had just called their final timeout, right? Right before the Jennings non-PI call against Jennings, the Niners had called a timeout. So that was, I believe I could check it. I think that was their 3rd timeout.
Presumably, yeah.
So they had no more timeouts to call, but yeah, I mean, it's like they didn't get the PI call, so they fucking pouted.
Correct. That's bad. That's bad game management to me. And then you look at it, and the next play is a negative play. They actually get some back. Kittle turns it into a 4th and 7, I believe.
It was 3rd and 15. He caught an 8-yard pass, so that set up 4th and 7 from the 47.
That's right. And because
it's like,
again,
they for it.
I think they should have gone for it, right? Because like, what's the risk reward there? The Rams. I mean, to be fair, you see Harrison Mevis on the other side, and you think to yourself, "Oh, we don't want to give up good field position here because the thicker kicker can make us pay." But that's just a Missouri slant that I hold dear in my heart. It's probably not what Sean McVay was thinking in that moment. He would have taken a knee with his quarterback and got him the hell up out of there. Regardless, think about the difference between a 4th and 7 and a 4th and 2. And I know that's a sliding doors butterfly effect, and those two things are not actually related, but like they kind of are. You take a 5-yard delay of game penalty because you can't keep your composure after, again, a clear miscall, but you can't keep your composure and you can't play through it, and you are spiraling emotionally, and perhaps, in this game, the game was certainly spiraling away, and you now have a 4th and 7 where you take the coward's way out in a game where you need touchdowns and you need points, and you're going to get the ball back to start the second half. And, no one preaches the final 4, first 4 more than Kyle Shanahan. And to punt out of that situation because a 4th and 7 is untenable when you gave yourself a 5-yard penalty just moments before, that's when you know, hey, something ain't right here. Something's off. And that's why I don't think that you can give this team the option to quit, because they're pouting. They're looking for reasons to say, hey, none of this matters. We're taking the rest of the day off. Like, this hurts. This sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Because why would you? Being in the NFL is hard enough. Winning is the thing that makes it tolerable. But this team knows. I mean, you heard them talk about it before the game started, that they had to put up 35 points to win. They know that their defense sucks. They know
they have 7 at the time.
That's right.
And it's halftime.
But like, this team is already setting up for we don't stand a chance. We don't stand a chance. They'll say the right things, but all it's doing is creating built-in excuses. And so they repeated the same stuff that they said on Wednesday and Thursday after the game on Sunday. They just used the past tense instead of the future tense in the commentary. And again, you give that team an ounce of quit in the game, I think they're going to take it. It's the first time that I felt like in the Shanahan era that this thing could go awry. I don't think it will. I really don't. But it does feel closer to that possibility than ever before. And that includes some absolutely garbage seasons where the team frankly should have quit. It would have done us all a great favor. And they would have gotten better draft position. This one feels like they are going to have to trudge to the finish line, and they're only halfway through the campaign.
Well, it's funny. I looked at my notes on the game, and I wrote to myself right there, trying not to lose or trying to win, ?
Yeah. Don't worry. You don't need to try not to lose. You're going to lose. You need to try to win.
But I mean, trying to keep it close to save face or trying to win the game. I mean, that punting right there reeks of we're just trying to save face. We didn't, and we have other evidence from Shanahan, because he was like, hey, I could have brought Purdy back, but I thought, why throw him into this? Like, So you basically already didn't think you had a great shot.
No.
And then you get to 4th and 7 at the 47, down 21-7 with 19 seconds left. And if you can come up with a 30-yard pass play, you've got a really nice field goal and a 21-10 game at halftime.
Right.
And if instead you're worried about if you go incomplete and the Rams get the ball, at the 47, that they'll have one play or two plays to maybe throw it to somewhere, get somewhere.
To be fair, when you have Devontae Adams, you're basically in field goal range. And when you have Harrison Mevis as your kicker, there is no limit to your field goal
But I mean, you're already a bad kicking team. You're on your backup kicker.
Right.
It's just
once
again, it's living in fear. It's like you're already down 2 touchdowns. Is when you're down 21-7, is 24-7 really that terrifying?
No, it shouldn't be. And it was cowardly. And this is, it should be noted, this is the guy who kicks a lot of 25-yard field goals. So, like, of course it is. Of course it's cowardly. He believes in the path of least resistance because he's an idealist. And what happens is he goes up against his protege, who is a pragmatist, and sometimes it just turns into a dick measuring contest, and the idealist can get out ahead and the front running 49ers can win. But when they get behind, now that they don't have Purdy, who refuses, Purdy's spirit, along with his legs and his ability to rip the ball to the corners of the field more than 20 yards, that really matters. And it really, when you have a system quarterback like Mac, who has been wonderful, but he's still a system quarterback, it does feel like a bridge too far if they're ever losing. It feels like if the script that Kyle puts together at the beginning of the game doesn't go perfectly to plan, he just tries to pack it in, and as you said, tries not to lose more than he tries to win. Whereas you look at Sean McVay, and maybe he overdid it in the first go-around, but the adjustments that they made in that game made it interesting, like really interesting, right? More interesting than it should have been, took it to overtime. And then in this game, they learned all of those lessons and put out a pretty unique game plan, which is we're just going to run duo into your face until you stop it. And the 49ers are like, you go right ahead because we're not going to stop it. And this game might be over a little sooner. So let's just get it on with the duo. And then on offense, it was, we're going to do whatever the hell we want to do because you're not going to touch Matt Stafford. And the 49ers are like, we're going to keep playing soft zone because we want this game to be over as fast as possible. And I guess there's a pragmatism to just admitting defeat before the game starts, but to manifest it so clearly in so many of the calls throughout the game and to just generally take on that temperament isn't a good look, and it's not unique. And I thought that Kendrick Bourne after the game, Kendrick Bourne usually says some pretty insipid stuff. Not exactly an insightful quote typically, though he's a nice enough fella. But he did say that he felt like this team gets high on its own supply, and I'm paraphrasing there, after wins. And it's like, yeah, they do. And there's actually, I would take it a step further. It feels like after they win a game, they feel like they can give one up. That they're like, oh, we got one, and then we'll give one. And they're kind of Warriorsing this, where they're like, no, it'll be fine in the end. We can lose a couple of times on our own volition. Like, that's not a problem because we're going to win enough. And I'm looking at the schedule, and yeah, they got some real cupcakes coming up. But I'm not sure if anyone's really a cupcake against this 49ers defense right now, even if they're much, much better. And I predicted that this team was going to go 9-8 and lose in the final game to Seattle and stay out of the playoffs. And I'm feeling pretty damn good about that prediction right now.
That's looking really good. The one thing that has Shanahan ever just totally, made a significant change in the middle of the year to like what he's doing and how he's doing it? It seems like he's just stays with what he's doing all the time. Give you an example. The Rams, didn't run a single play out of 13 personnel in the first 5 games of the year. Then they ran a lot of 13 personnel recently. And so I asked Saleh, I'm like, hey, man, the Rams ran a lot of 13 personnel, and they seem like they're going with 3 tight ends. How do you guys match up? Do you match up in the base? How do you see that? And he's like, I think in this game they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. Well, he was wrong.
How'd that work out?
He was wrong. They ran a lot of 13 personnel. And,
and by the way,
Rams,
of course they did. Of course they did, because they watched the 49ers film and they probably heard that quote, and they looked at Luke Gifford and said, oh, let's just do that. We're going to run duo as much as we want. The Niners are going to be light in the box naturally because they don't even have an Alfred Collins for some size, and everybody else is small. Tatum Bethune is undersized for a linebacker. D. Winters is borderline for a will these days, and he makes up for it with ferocity, but generally undersized. And so the way that they've moved to 13 personnel is basically the inverse of the modern NFL. Sean McVay created the modern NFL spread scheme in a lot of ways with 11 personnel, which is, hey, we got 3 wide receivers out there. 2 of them are going to block like tight ends. That insert motion, I know that he stole it from somewhere, but Sean McVay brought that to the NFL. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua now, Robert Woods even before that. And it turned Todd Gurley into a star because they're running out of 11 personnel. So you're going light on defense against a 3 wide receiver set, but those guys actually play heavier so they can block it like they're in a 2 tight end set. And now the entire NFL has gone, and you want to go with base personnel against that. Well, now we have 3 wide receivers. Good luck with that linebacker against our wide receiver. So now the entire NFL plays base nickel, and there's a lot of dime happening and a lot of cover 6. And so what is Sean McVay doing? He looks at what's happening around the league and says, oh, we're going to go heavy. And last year it was 12 personnel, which is why Robert Saleh said that. They were the vanguard of the 12 personnel movement, which has taken over the league now. But in fact, they've taken it to another level because 12 wasn't enough. They have to go 13 personnel. And they have 3 viable tight ends, with Ferguson, the new guy that they got, being the least of them all and still pretty damn good. But when you're in 13 personnel and you pass from that, typically in just a drop back fashion, well, now you have your base defense against there, and you have they have an archetype for a tight end that is closer to a receiver than it is to an actual tight end. There's no Luke Farrells to be found here. And in that, you saw exactly what they did. They cleaned up against that, and they basically made Luke Gifford the target in the same way that they turned Marquise Siegel into the mark in the last time. Every time Gifford was on the field, and this looked like it during the game, it bore out in the film. Every time Gifford was on the field, The Rams abandoned all plans and went right at 57, and it worked every single damn time. Like, that's pragmatism. That's pragmatism. And Kyle's like, let's run a play that I've been sitting on, and it's going to set up X, Y, and Z. Sometimes an actual football game breaks out, and your script ain't going to work. And you have to actually just run at the mark. But Kyle doesn't do that. Kyle has theories and concepts and this galaxy brain take. And again, sometimes it is actually a dick measuring contest. And sometimes it is as simple as that guy sucks, go at him until he proves he doesn't suck. And yesterday, that's all the Rams did. They went at Jordan Elliott up the middle, and they ran duo 17 to 27 times at him. Every time he was on the field, they ran duo right in his face. He didn't stop it once. And every time Luke Gifford was on the field, typically actually not in conjunction with when Elliott was on the field, so thanks for that, Bob. They threw it or ran it right at Gifford. It's not that complicated sometimes. Sean McVay knows that. I don't get why Kyle Shanahan doesn't. I think Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach, and he is a genius, but he does think he's the smartest guy in the room, and while he might actually be that, he probably is that guy. Sometimes your smarts, or a lot of times your smarts get in the way. Sometimes you actually just have to throw a rock, and Sean McVay at least knows that.
Well, I mean, I think McVay just knows that he's got a great passing attack, and he's got a great trigger guy, and he's got two good receivers. And now with Atwell out, you know that the 11 personnel concept, he's the guy that you want to use. You can't use him. They've got Davis Allen, they've got Higbee, they've got Ferguson. What do they all have in common? Well, they're actually all really good receivers,
right. Mobile.
And, you know, Allen's probably the least powerful of the group, but he's got good hands. And
as we saw.
And then you got the three tight ends. It really helps you run the ball. And then you've got the three tight ends. So it also gives you some sure-handed guys. And since you have three good receivers, you're really, you know, you could make an argument that Davis Allen and Ferguson are superior overall receivers to Tutu Atwell. So Atwell can create space, but these guys can create movement in the run game and space, and give and basically make defenses play uncomfortable because they're oftentimes not going up against, you know, 13 personnel a lot. And so they don't have lots of reps covering the tight end. And the Rams are also very creative in some of the route concepts as far as how they want to use these tight ends. They're not using them in fundamental route concepts that would go to the tight end. They're having the tight end run the same kind of routes that they would have the third wide receiver in the 11 personnel run. So that's right. They're really putting a lot of pressure, and it's been very effective. And the 49ers could not stop the Rams. They were down 21-0 in a hole. They didn't stop them in the second half. So this idea that you were going to leave your guys on the field at the end for what? You never ever stop them. So why would you ever think that you were going to catch them?
Again, it's a 2-possession game. At a certain point in that drive, you probably want to rotate some guys in. I will say this will tickle you, Larry. How is Nick Martin not played at any juncture from scrimmage in that game? How do you not?
And why? I mean, what are they doing? I mean, why have him up? He's not even
correct
to play him on special teams. He's not a good special teamer. So why?
I watched every one of his special. I watched every one of his special teams reps. He's a liability. He shouldn't be up. He shouldn't be up if you're not going to play him from scrimmage. And
Robert
that
Saleh.
Was the game.
I don't think Robert Saleh. I think he's basically answered the question the other day when I asked, "Where's Nick Martin?" He basically said, "Hey, look, we're prioritizing the special teams, and the special teams assignment's going to get priority, and Robinson and Gifford are in front of Martin as a special teamer, thus he will have to wait his turn." But I mean, you don't even have any bodies at all that you can run at the quarterback. Here's a guy with 4 or 5 speed, and you can't design a sub package. You don't have a good defensive end. You're playing Robert Beal with your ones.
Right.
Why would you not devise some form of a linebacker heavy sub package and run that guy with his 4 or 5 speed at the quarterback from wherever he's lined up?
Even if it's a total tell.
Better than Beal.
It's something. It's different. And by the way, you and I have had this debate ad nauseum. It doesn't matter.
Is he that
now.
bad? Is this guy that bad?
Well,
mean,
I
come
didn't
on.
think he was very good to start, and it seems to me like the guy who handpicked drafted him doesn't think he's very good either because he won't play him. Like, Robert Saleh handpicked Nick Martin.
Robert Saleh has made it sound to me like, when Fred was there, it was never a consideration. And then they also act like Winters is way better than I seem to think.
I've liked Winters this year. I'm actually very bullish on Winters. I was very surprised that his play didn't drop off.
Anybody though. That's part of the reason they're not good is that he doesn't tackle anybody. He uses his shoulder to hit people, but
we knew that
people on the outside of his shoulder. He doesn't do a lot of.
I'm with you, but he's there. Like he's actually making a play as opposed to Tatum Bethune, who wraps everybody up, who's right in front of him, but can't really get anywhere. Like Tatum Bethune can run straight really well. He's really good north, south, east, west, anything in between. Watching it back, it wasn't obvious, at least to me, during the game, but his coverage. Clearly, as much as I said they made Luke Gifford the mark, as much as they made Jordan Elliott the mark, if we had to talk about like scheme and what the Rams clearly talked about all week, it was to just exploit Tatum Bethune's inability to cover anybody in the pass game. So at least I think Winters does a good job in covering both the hook and the flat. And you're right, his tackling is not good. It's never been good. It's always been a liability, but he does explode. He does get to places fast. And for a team that prides itself on gang tackling, and really rarely do you see open field one-on-one tackles outside of maybe a corner, it's fine. It's fine. I'm with you. I'm not saying he's some perfect player or anything, but I think he's been a really good linebacker compared to what I was expecting, and I think what they were expecting, because don't forget they got on a plane and tried to convince Dre Greenlaw to come back after he had already agreed to terms with the Broncos. They begged him. But
I think that was more for optics. He was his decision.
That's a bad
was made.
optic. What happens when he says no? That's an ugly looking optic. Because
it looks. What's uglier is you took a guy who would have bled for you and didn't even pay him any respect at all. At least they got on the bird and went there. It showed some level of give a shit, even though if it was 11th hour, give a shit. And it was all nominal anyway. That's the other thing. It's like I tell you to move out and take all your stuff and get out and be out of my house by 5.
Yeah.
And then when I feel like I was too harsh to you, I help you carry your stuff to the curb. It's like
right.
That's not.
I can think of some relationships where I wish I got that courtesy. So I think you might be right.
But here's the other thing. Luke Gifford was being picked on, not just in coverage. He was being picked on coverage 20 to 30 yards downfield.
Oh, it's embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
You're sitting there watching it. I'm watching it on the binoculars going, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
It was to the point.
Look what's coming. Look what's coming. Look what's coming. It was like that kind of a thing.
So you and I don't sit next to each other. We don't really sit anywhere near each other in the press box. I'm sure that anyone who sits near me in the press box thinks that this is a shocker, the most annoying person on the planet, because I'll Tony Romo the game. And I'm not going to lie, I get most of it right. So my man Cam Inman, who works with me at the Bay Area News Group, he's our 49ers beat writer. I'm the columnist. He, at a certain point, he picked up what I was saying, which is Gifford's on the field. Watch this. And I would just be like, zone right. Zone right. Oh, here, pass to the flat. It was so easy to predict the plays, and I was Romoing the shit out of it, and I was feeling pretty good about myself to the point where Cam got in on it, and we were having like a good old time in the press box just laughing about how easy it was to predict what plays were coming from the Rams, and yet how many yards they were gaining on a play that I think if Cam and Dieter can call it out from the press box, you'd think that the coaches of the San Francisco 49ers would know what's coming. And yet they didn't adjust until the second half. And then they went big nickel with Pinnock at big nickel. Like, this is some dire stuff.
I know, but it was still better than what they had before.
It was much better.
I thought Pinnock was their best safety as far as the way he played. The rest of those guys, what has happened to Malik Mustafa? What has happened to Jair Brown?
Jair Brown, well,
they both can't cover
there. Yeah, the Siegel Jair Brown thing is deeply weird, and like there's something else going on.
We got to have Siegel back.
Yes, because Jair Brown is doing everything that Siegel was doing wrong, except he's not even particularly close to the players he's supposed to be covering. Like at least Marquise Siegel was getting dunked on. At least they had to make a play. Jair Brown is just in the wrong place all the time, and he's tackling air, and it's brutal. Mustafa, I actually, Hutch and I were talking about this on our show yesterday. Like, this one's on us, and I'll wear this one. Not that I have any say over anything, but like he and I, but particularly me, talked about. I'm a big safeties guy, and we talked about, when Mustafa comes back, like then they're going to have something really going there with him and Siegel. So the Siegel thing was flat out wrong because there's something weird going on there. And then the presumption that Mustafa would come back from an ACL injury mid-season and look like what he looked like before his injury last year that was just a stupid take. Like, of course he's not going to. Mike Tomlin likes to say that an NFL season is like a moving train. And if you have to hop on at the end of training camp, the train's already kind of moving pretty fast. You have to hop on mid-season, and you're coming off an injury that puts your entire ability to move in question. Like, next year, I think he'll look fine. Well, you better hope he looks fine. But, like, the idea that he was going to come back mid-season and just, like, hey, pick up right where I started was maybe us getting a little bit too enamored with the fact that he's a physical freak. Like, nobody does that, especially not young players. If you got 15 years or 10 years of experience under your belt, like you stand somewhat of a chance and you're still probably going to look slow. A young player at safety who isn't exactly in a fleet of foot to begin with. Like he explodes to the ball, but like not exactly a free mover, not exactly a blanketer of space to have presumed that he was going to just hit the ground running. That was just a dumb take by me, and I think anybody else who kind of didn't take into account that it's always the year after the year. You come back, you get your feet under you, maybe by the end of the year, you're feeling like your old self, and then the year after you come back from your injury is the year that you always do better. Like, that's classic fantasy football advice, but I guess because it's a defender, I never took it into consideration. Or I guess because Malik Mustafa has like a 14-pack, I just didn't think that the rules applied to him, but they do. Like that's a pretty tried and true rule, and it does.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the same player right now. Now,
not even close.
I think he'll get there. But here, the other one that drove me crazy. It's like the Niners. It's like they can't just go for the best players. They've got to introduce all these other factors. And it's like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was cut loose. He was a safety. He's played corner. He's played safety. He's played nickel. He's played everywhere in the secondary. Yeah, he runs a little hot, but he's a damn good player. He was out there for anybody to have, and they could have had him. And instead, they let him sign with Chicago. And
he's looked good there.
He got the game ball yesterday. He was a key cog in their defense. And it's like, do the Niners not think he can play? No, they know he can play. They just don't like him. They think he's a bad guy. They don't like him as a guy. And so they don't want to take on a guy with, but guess what? Defense is rough, and it's played by rough guys. And sometimes you got to take on some of when you don't have players, you got to take on guys that don't necessarily fit your perfect, description. And that means going after some guys that might be a little bit of a pain in the ass to be around or run a little hot. Instead, they steer clear. We're go with Pinnock, and it's like, you don't think you could have used Chauncey Gardner-Johnson yesterday?
They absolutely could have, but you also have to remember who's making the decisions and the history that they've had when they've gone that route, where they bring in Randy Gregory, and that didn't work out, or Devondre Campbell.
Super Bowl. I don't know if it didn't work out. They went to the Super Bowl with Randy Gregory. I understand they didn't win it.
No help from him, by the way. They had to go out and make a trade a couple weeks later.
He had an couple moments.
Randy Gregory's probably not let's Randy Gregory is admittedly a bad example. But a good example would be like Devondre Campbell, where they bring him in with the best of intentions. They probably don't explain the totality of the situation as well as they should have. Like, hey, you're just holding this spot down until Dre Greenlaw comes back. They probably didn't say that because, again, it wasn't really their first choice, and there's a lot of other things going on there. And then, then it starts to go awry, and they give in to him. They say, last year after the Minnesota game, they're like, we want to give D. Winters more reps. And he's like, over my dead body. And then he pouts for the rest of the year, and he quits on the team. So they haven't had a great great run of success historically with guys that are a little rough around the edges. But you also have to remember that this is a team that's built around.
I don't know about that. They went to the Super Bowl with Alden Smith.
Well, but not these guys, not John Lynch. And John Lynch is trying to build a team of John Lynches, which are, Boy Scouts off the field and absolutely crazed lunatics on it. And they've nailed that with a couple of their guys. They nailed that with George Kittle. They nailed that with Fred Warner. And so they have this confirmation bias. It's kind of hard to argue that they were wrong about that because those guys are Hall of Famers. So they have this rubric and they don't want to go off of that. And they really do feel like the culture has to be sort of John Lynch's across the board. And they're not willing to accept the good play over the bad character, even when times are as dire as right now. So I'm with you. I think that it's foolish to not, bring in something that could be risky. But this is not, it's Kyle Shanahan. This is not a risk-taking team. This is a team that has an idea, that has a concept, both macro and micro, and they refuse to waver from it because they believe, and they might have a case here, that their way has worked, but it is not working right now. And I'm having a hard time, and I'm trying not to be a prisoner of the moment, but I'm kind of having a hard time seeing how it's ever going to work again. And I'm not sure they're going to be around long enough to find out if it will work again.
Wow. You think Jed's going to pull the plug?
I don't know what the hell Jed's going to do because Jed seems as temperamental as anybody right now around the 49ers. Like, Jed pulled the plug on spending money. So what's to say he doesn't take it to the next level? This is, again, if I felt like the infrastructure of this team was strong enough to withstand some of this scrutiny that's happening, then I wouldn't say this. But like, it does feel as if there's not really any scaffolding holding this thing up. It's a lot of ideas, and ideas don't get you very far if they don't manifest into reality. And they haven't manifested into reality for quite a while. Even with 6 wins on the season, it's all kind of been by the skin of their teeth. It's really not that different. They were joking in the locker room early in the season that it was a bizarro 2024. Not really. It's exactly the same thing, except you're getting to play a 4th place schedule instead of a 1st. And so you get to play a bunch of shitty teams along the line, and you get to beat them because you are better than them. But that's not saying much.
Well, we'll see about that, actually, because now they have no ability to move the quarterback, and I think they're going to lose some of these games down the stretch that everybody thinks they're going to sweep. Let's do this. Let's do our sleeper lineup. We should tell everybody the Krug Show is brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. We should also tell you 49er football season, all season long, is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. One-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, sleeper picks. For daily fantasy, you choose 2 to 8 players, pregame or live, and just pick more or less on their stat projections. If you're new to it, use promo code Larry, Larry, and you'll get a 100% deposit up to $100 on your first deposit. The link is right there in the description. Terms and conditions apply. Let's make our lineup. Let's switch the deal here. Let me see if I can do this. There it is.
Kevin?
Yeah, there we go. All right, there it is. The sleeper lineup. Get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Use code Larry. And should we do our sleeper lineup, Kev? Are we doing our sleeper lineup? Has Kev fallen asleep at the switch?
I'll give you a shout for sleeper right now. Okay, here's a shout. We're gonna do some advertising that was non-sanctioned. I've used Sleeper for my fantasy football league for years. It's awesome. Love Sleeper. For the first time, I'm in a league actually with a bunch of folks from the Colts. In a fantasy basketball league, they have this thing called lock in fantasy basketball. It's awesome. So shouts to Sleeper for having like the best fantasy basketball platform. So
really, what do you like about it?
So the issue with fantasy basketball I have found in the past is basically you're just spamming playing time. Mm-hmm. So you set a lineup for the week, and then it's like, well, who plays the most games? I'll just play them. So there's not really any tactic involved. in trying to figure out who you should play. It's just who will play the most. Henceforth, they will get the most statistics in the counting stats, and you just hope that you're good enough in the percentage stats. And yeah, it just wasn't very interesting. It was just who got more minutes. So this lock-in thing is you only get one game from any player that you play per week, and you have to lock in the points, not like the points meaning like the aggregation of rebounds and assists, and there's a certain scoring metric for all of those things, but you have to lock in those points before they play their next game. So you have to make the decision in the aftermath of that game. So like tonight, just a quick example, like Jaime Jaquez had 63 points, which is like
a Jaime Jaquez, but yes.
Jaquez, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, you have a little something in your throat, Jaime Jaquez. Jaime went for 63 and a half in an overtime win for the Heat tonight. Like, I'm locking that in because that's a great number. Meanwhile, I'm playing Jeremiah Fears because things are getting a little desperate over here. He had 20. I'm not going to lock it in. I'm going to play somebody else tomorrow. So shout out Sleeper Fantasy Basketball. I'm having a blast.
Good to hear. And let's make our sleeper lineup, and we're going to do it for
time for you, Kev?
Niners cards. We bought just enough time to get Kev in the room. All right, let's take a look at Jacoby Brissett, because the Niners are not going to be able to move Brissett off the spot.
Not only is he a big man, but they couldn't get to him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Passing touchdowns, 2. Do we have anything more than the passing touchdowns?
Got a yardage?
No, it's early. He went for 258 and 2 touchdowns in the loss to the Cardinals. I think 2 touchdowns is going to happen for Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, don't forget that this team was giving up yards in bunches the last time they played, the Niners being against the Cardinals. Like that over route, they just ran a flood concept repeatedly. It was 17 yards every time.
Well, and Brissett's better than Murray, and
yes.
if you can't put any pressure on him, he will carve you. So I'm going to say 2 touchdowns for Jacoby Brissett. Let's take a look at Mac Jones. Not Mac Jones, because Mac Jones may not play. Let's go CMC. We're going to get to Mac Jones here in just a second, topic wise. Let's see what CMC's got.
We're coming off of how many receiving yards for one Christian McCaffrey? He had 66 receiving yards against the Rams. That's a good line.
Yeah, he's a lock for 50. I don't know if more than that. 70.
It's an aggressive defense.
Rush yards.
Aggressive defense, 5 across the front. Not sure how gap scheme's going to work against that. It's a gap and a half system that Arizona plays, but their line is kind of banged up.
Well, you saw what happened this week. I mean, Seahawks offense called a run play on 78% of their plays, and third highest rate in a game in the next gen stats era. They just ran it down their throat.
To be fair, it was 21-0 before the game was even on, right?
Yeah,
it was 21-0 before the Niners kicked off.
I'm going to say 49ers understand now, based out of this Rams game, that their defense is a mess.
Yeah.
They, in the fourth quarter, they had no rush, and their young DBs were doing exactly what I said they were going to do. They were losing confidence. They were blaming each other. They were pointing the finger. They were arguing with each other. The nightmare that I envisioned is exactly why I was super passionate about the Niners getting help on the defensive line. I didn't need Trey Hendrickson. I didn't even need one guy. I just needed 2 bodies, and they didn't get those 2 bodies, so they're still leaning on Robert Beal, who can't do it. And they put no pressure on Stafford. He sat back there and carved him. And now I think the same thing. They learned their lesson in that game. So I think the adjustment is go with 72.5 rush yards more on CMC because it's going to be. They know they got to run it, and they know they got to protect their defense, and so CMC is gonna run it. Now he may not be good enough. That's the other thing. We're going to get to that. CMC went for 2.5 yards a carry. Brian Robinson went for 5.1 a carry. And yet Brian Robinson still can't get on the field. And Brian Robinson's averaged over 7 yards a carry the last 2 weeks and still really, for the most part, can't get on the field. So that would be my one concern. But in this game, I'll say McCaffrey goes over on the rush total.
How about a Kittle? We didn't get Kittle against the Cardinals last time. I like the Cardinals linebackers, but they are susceptible in coverage. We saw what Kittle was able to do against Landman and Spates with the Rams, who are equally susceptible in coverage.
There is no Kittle on this one.
I bet there isn't, because that would be easy money.
Yeah, it's early. It's early in the week, so it's
all right. Eddie Pinheiro, 3 field goals.
You only need. Oh, do you? Oh, you can go 3. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you can go. Yeah, let's do that.
This game has unnecessary amounts of field goals written all over it.
Yeah, and it's a dome. How about more than 2.5 field goals? We'll go with the 3. Go with.
Come on, Kev.
No, he's.
Yeah, there it is. Give me that 2.5. Give me that.
Let's go more than 2.5 if we can. Yeah, there we go.
We're gonna get some 23-yarders. It's gonna be disgusting.
Eddie Pinheiro. Yeah, especially Niners will. They'll be desperate for any points they can get. So if they don't, score early, they'll try for field goals early just to get on the board.
That's extra.
Extra points.
Oh, I don't want any part of that. Get that out of here.
No, that's 4 extra points. That means the Niners are going to score 28 points. No, we'll go with the 1.5.
There was once a time, Larry. There was once a
time. More on the 1.5. All right, so we got 2 field goals, Freddie.
There we go. Thank you. It's very small type. Can't see that.
Let's do it. Let's see what we got. Let's wager. Let's go 10. Let's go $10 this time.
Loading up.
Yeah, we're going to take a chance.
5 for 25.
5 for 25, 20. There you go.
Yeah.
Big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. Links right in the description. Terms apply. Help support the show and get you rolling on the #1 sports app. A lot of fun. We have a lot of fun every week. We didn't win. We haven't won for a couple weeks now. It's really good stuff, though. And
that's mostly my fault. I get a little aggressive.
Well, what can we say?
Yeah.
But thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's get to the topic of the title of the show. We kind of buried the lead today. 49er dilemma. Can you really bench Mac Jones right now? The one thing that was really kind of bothersome from the Kyle Shanahan press conference was his whole thing about, hey, you know what? Brock could have played this week. We just chose not to play him. And so, and then he indicated that he's got a real chance to play. He says, I do believe he's further along than when he first came back. So hopefully he'll have a chance this week. I don't get this at all. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I know Purdy, if it's up to Purdy, I totally get it, because your backup quarterback is playing well enough that people are now starting to ask, should he be the starting quarterback? He completed 85% this week. He completed 79% last week. The guy had a year in college where he completed 77%. It's the highest completion percentage in the history of FBS. The one thing that I think I didn't realize until you don't really know a player till you watch him on your team every week. It's probably a truer statement about baseball than football, but it definitely applies for football. And Mac Jones is football smarter than I thought. And Mac Jones, because he didn't sound smart. It's like we kept being told in the draft process, this guy's smart. Well, really, if he's so smart, why does he sound like a Sigma Chi from LSU? Because
he's from South Alabama. You haven't spent enough time in the South, my friend.
I went to LSU this year. But I mean, he sounds dumb, but is football smart. Okay, so that's one. But the other thing that I've learned about Mac Jones is that Mac Jones is even more accurate than Brock Purdy. And Mac Jones takes better care of the football than Brock Purdy. And I think Mac Jones may even throw a better deep ball than Brock Purdy, even though he doesn't throw it very often.
That's a nice theory. It'd be nice if we could see it ever in practice.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in camp quite a bit, so we know it's in there. But, we haven't seen it. He doesn't like to take a lot of chances. Some people saying he's Jimmy G. I don't see Jimmy G at all. I think he's world's best. I can understand why somebody who had Jimmy G would want Mac Jones, because you're like, hey, Jimmy doesn't move. He's a pocket passer, but he's kind of dumb. And here's a guy who's super smart. And let's, I mean, Jimmy played dumb, whether he was dumb or not. He just played dumb. So
it's the same offense, though. They're challenging the same parts of the.
His accuracy, though, is off the charts. I mean, he's dotting dotting up receivers each and every week. The one that really got me going, whoa, in this game was the pressure. He had pressure off his right side. He had a I think it was either CMC or somebody in the flat. It was kind of like the deep flat. It was about a 20-yard pass. And he had the guy had 3 steps towards him. He's 2 more steps away from keyholing Jones, and still Jones has the ball around his waist. Somehow he gets it, cocks it, gets it out, and just flicks it and puts it on a rope, and it hits the guy in the hands on the run. And I'm looking at Husak, former Stanford quarterback, sitting next to me, and I'm like, dude, that is phenomenal accuracy. And he's like, it really is. It really is.
He had 3 really good ones.
That play, I mean, Mac Jones puts the ball on the receiver. I mean, he is absolutely accurate. Imagine how good Mac Jones would be if he had a good defense, a good running game, and an actual game breaker at receiver. They have no downfield threat. Their receiving core is guys looks like it's like pouring molasses out of a jar. It's so freaking slow. It's so slow. And then I looked up the 40 times of these Niner receivers, and Farrell, where it runs 4.8, Tonjes is 4.7, Huscheck's 4.77, Demarcus Robinson's 4.6, Kendrick Bourne's 4.68, Jawan Jennings is 4.72. This is without Pearsall, Sky Moore, and Jordan Watkins, this is the slowest receiving core I've seen across the board. I can't think of a whole group where nobody runs sub 4.5 in the entire group. I mean, that's where they're at. They don't have a downfield passing attack, but they don't have a downfield receiver. I mean, maybe Pearsall comes back, he can be that. Maybe, I don't know, but they are slow. So here's the question.
How is that any different than last year, though?
Well, I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying it's when you see the 49ers trying to play from behind, there's no big play ability there. No. So they're a team that has to play with the lead. Heck, I'm watching the broadcast of the TV broadcast because I never saw it. I was at the game, and Tom Brady said it in the broadcast. He's like, the 49ers are not built to go down the field. They're not built to play from behind. They're built to play with a lead, and their truer words have never been spoken. So, but I get the sense that Kyle Shanahan is on the verge of pulling Mac Jones for Brock Purdy. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Explain it to me, because it makes no sense to me.
Okay, well, Jimmy Garoppolo threw for completed 69% of his passes in 2019. Mac Jones is completing 69% of his passes. It's as simple as who gives you a better chance to win games. And if the idea is that Mac Jones does, that's just not being borne out. I understand that he's winning games. I'm not arguing that Mac Jones is some scrub here, but he can extend plays with his feet. He's a sitting duck. He had 3 passes that should have been intercepted yesterday that weren't. It is getting eminently predictable to the point where you saw what happened when they played Houston, and they kicked his ass. And yeah, that has a lot to do with Houston's defensive line. It also, and their unbelievable defense, don't get me wrong, but it also had a lot to do with D'Amico Ryans knowing what was coming and putting guys in the right spot. And the idea that you can have, somebody who doesn't have truly elite arm talent and just have them in the backfield trying to pepper a bunch of receivers who suck. I mean, or however you want to phrase it, but clearly not an elite receiving group or even a moderately good one. Just having him back there as a statue, hoping that he can just make, pass dime after dime, when frankly, he throws as many bad passes as he does good ones. And to his credit, he throws some very good ones.
How can you say that? He completed 85% of his passes this week. He throws as many bad passes as good ones. He completed 85%.
And how far down the field were they?
But I mean, he threw for 300 plus yards. I mean, he's not driving the ball down the field.
Against a team that played quarters the entire game because they were up 21-0.
Well, they played quarters at the beginning of the game. So, I mean, they played quarters right away. All I would say is I'm not anti-Brock Purdy. I'm pro Brock Purdy. I believe in Brock Purdy. I just don't think Brock Purdy's as good as Mac Jones when he's in this state where he can't move, doesn't want to move. And then Also, I think Mac Jones takes better care of the football. So the combination of, other thing is, it's like, isn't Brock Purdy going to be rusty here? I mean, I don't know. It seems very weird to bring back a quarterback after you've been practicing him with turf toe, and it's like, I don't get it. I really don't.
So, Mac Jones, would you have played Brock Purdy if Brock Purdy was in the same state he's in now? Would you have played him after the Tampa Bay game, given the way Mac played in that game?
To me, you're talking about a franchise that retired Patrick Willis because of turf toe. I'm not.
Well, then you should put Brock Purdy on IR.
I'm not giving away Brock Purdy's career to get him out there for one game. I'm definitely not doing it when I have a replacement that's maybe even playing better than he's playing. So I wouldn't do that. I just.
This is a team that needs to start winning some games again.
This is turf toe, though. I mean, turf toe Joe Burrow had turf toe, went out and had surgery, and now is practicing again.
Right.
Brock Purdy in the Niners, no surgery, and it's like, but he's been playing in practice, and he's, I don't know. I mean, it's like,
I can't speak to the medical aspect of it. I haven't seen Brock Purdy's turf toe. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you if it's good or not. They've made the decision that it's not worth putting him on injured reserve. I can't tell you if that's the right decision or not because I don't have enough information to make such a determination. I mean, I think that it's easy to go down the pipeline of this team is always injured. Their doctors be stupid. Anything they do relating medicine is dumb. I can't dispute that either. So I can't say one way or another. The fact of the matter is that Brock Purdy, I can't gauge what percentage he's going to be at because he has a turf toe. If he's out there, I have to presume that he's 100%, or whatever he can be. Okay, then why isn't he on IR? If he's never going to get there, then he needs to be on injured reserve.
I don't think he wants to be on IR, and I don't think Shanahan wanted to put him on IR, and they were all hoping for the same thing, but practicing him seems really bad, like a really bad
I can't
decision.
speak to that. Like sure. I mean, it looks like
he didn't look good against Jacksonville, did he not?
Unquestionably, he looked bad against Jacksonville, and he was very on Brock.
If he comes back and plays that way, then was it right to bring him back?
No, but I think it's also ridiculous to presume he's going to come back and look like he did against Jacksonville. I mean, that has to be borne out in the play.
Jacksonville's better for sure, but what if he comes back against a worse Arizona team and plays poorly? Then what?
Then they're screwed.
What if he comes back against Arizona and plays poorly? Are people going to be like, he's rusty?
Well, if you never leave your house, you're not going to get hit by a car. Like, there's a lot of, like we can play that game all the way to.
Well, it's not a game. I'm just saying you're talking about turf toe. You're talking about an injury that the head coach is on record as saying he's not going to get better from this year. So
then they should put him on IR, but they haven't. And clearly, is that some sort of ass covering tech? I don't think it's some grand conspiracy. I think that the way that they describe the turf toe, and I have to take their word for it here, is that it's not like an authentic bona fide by the textbook turf toe. It's like the side of the toe. And in that, it doesn't require surgery or anything like that. So it's not a 1-for-1 with, Joe Burrow, anyone else who's had turf toe. I understand that because it's a soft tissue toe injury in effect, or even like a cartilage toe injury, it's not going to get better until the offseason and it has several months to rest. But they've given him a tremendous amount of rest here. They've given him 2 months of rest.
Yeah. No, because he's practicing, dude.
He's limited in practice. He's out there. Who knows how much
he's running around. I mean, first of all, the doctor that I talked to said you got to get off it for 2 to 6 weeks. He didn't say get off it and practice like an NFL practices.
Yeah, but I appreciate that man has more information than we do, and I'm not telling him that he's incorrect in his medical diagnosis.
I don't think NFL practicing is on the list of things to do.
I don't disagree with that, but he also hasn't looked at Brock Purdy's turf toe, so he can't tell you the extent
it's true,
of the turf
but
toe.
Is it a miracle toe that nobody's ever seen, or are you going to take the words of a guy who's been doing these surgeries for? I'm going
to have to take. I don't like doing it, but I'm going to have to take the words of the guys who have actually physically seen the toe. Like,
but as
not,
we
and
know,
not just talking with a blanket. Like,
I hear you, but as we know, Dieter, is that there's no NFL doctors are loyal to the team, and they're going to put the player out there. Most of the time, everything else be damned.
But
so
as I
they're
said,
not
I don't
exactly,
think it's
going back to the Raiders and Dr. Huizinga and the internal doctor, his job. If he told everybody to sit out, he wouldn't have a job. He wouldn't have that job. You know what I mean?
You don't think you don't think that we would have heard about that by now? Like, you don't think that would be something that leaks out by now, that they have a doctor? I'm just saying, like, you're alleging a conspiracy because there's a lack of information.
No,
what are you talking about? Brock Purdy.
Not
Brock Purdy
doesn't think he can play,
that
it's rest. The one doctor who doesn't know anything about Brock Purdy, but believe me, Brock Purdy's not that special. He's got a turf toe like everybody else.
But again, it's not like to be clear, they've made it clear that it's not exactly like everybody else's turf toe. That's the one thing that I have to take their word on.
Okay, but the one guy who knows turf toe said you should stay off it for 2 to 6 weeks, and he has not. He might have stayed off it for 2 to 6 days, but he definitely did not stay off of it for 2 to 6 weeks, and that we know for sure. So, I think he badly wants to compete and wants to play. I think he understands. Heck, Steve Young of all people told him he should just run back on the field. Everything else be damned, literally, to make sure that his job doesn't get stolen away from him. This is not just a fan. This is an NFL player and one of his confidants 100%. Telling him that he should go out there and play hurt, basically.
The flip side of it is if Mac Jones sucked, he'd want to be out on the field too, because his team is spiraling and he needs to be out there more than now. So there's no circumstance in which Brock Purdy's not going to want to play. There's no circumstance. It's merely just a narrative convenience that Mac Jones is playing well, and it gives us something to talk about. The issue at hand, though, if we want to really boil it down, is no one knows what the fuck is going on with this toe, least of all us. And so we need an explanation. Kyle Shanahan sure as hell ain't going to give it to us. The 49ers sure as hell ain't going to give it to us. Brock ain't giving it to us. And now, again, in the absence of information, it gets a little conspiratorial. If this injury, like, do I think that the 49ers have a very good medical team? I think that there's enough evidence that I can say without any actual medical experience of my own that it's not looking good for them. So I think that that's a fair assessment to make, that maybe this is not being handled, but not being handled on the up and up. Like, that's a bridge too far for me. And as to say that Brock is feeling the heat, he'd be feeling the heat no matter what. He just signed a huge contract.
I'm not saying it's not on the up and up. I'm not saying it's some kind of conspiracy. What I'm saying is there's pressure points and things at play here. The people who decide these things have tremendous pressure on them, and
including Brock,
tremendous pressure,
I suppose.
Yes. Brock. I think
that's the beauty of this.
I think Brock wants to get out there because he understands that the team needs him, but he also understands that Jones is taking his job while he's sitting out, and that's actually going on because. If Brock Purdy, here's the thing. If Brock Purdy comes out and plays poorly, then it's a full-blown quarterback controversy. And there's nothing, nothing I can say or Shanahan can say or Lynch or Purdy or anybody else, because we're not the masses. The people will decide for themselves.
People decide for themselves week by week, and they come up with a new narrative every week. And ultimately, you have to block that stuff out. I reject the idea that Brock Purdy is playing for his job, and if he comes out and plays poorly, then it's all hell's going to break loose, because if he comes out there and plays poorly, we're going to do the same thing we did after the Jacksonville game, which is he shouldn't have played. He's got a bad toe. He looks terrible because of the toe. There's a built-in excuse.
Yeah, but if he says, hey, the toe feels fine. That's all he's got to say is the toe feels fine.
That's what he said after the Jacksonville game, and then he didn't play for 2 months.
Yeah, but he's got to demonstrate the toe feels fine. If he says the toe feels fine,
I agree with that.
And he plays. If he says the toe feels fine, I'm playing, and he doesn't play well, that's how he plays. How you play is how you play, and you'll be judged on that. So
no question, he should be.
And I don't think he's going to sit there and be like, it's the toe. But I mean, we're going to know that if anything, it's rust.
But Larry, as you noted before the Jacksonville game, you'll know if it's the toe. You were all over.
I didn't know. I'm just telling you anecdotally what I see at practice, which is he looks sore.
That's all we're operating on, though, is anecdotes right now because we lack the information. We lack bona fide,
I'm just being honest with people saying, hey, this is what I'm seeing. I see a guy who's doesn't feel comfortable and isn't very accurate.
And that's exactly what happened in the game.
Yeah.
So and the idea that he won't, it's exactly what happened in the game. He doesn't look comfortable. The toe looks like it's bothering him. They shouldn't put him out there. This is what you were saying. And again, that was good. It was good reporting. I have no problem with it. And then when he goes out there in the game and all of those things that you said were going to happen happened, well, what did we attribute it to? The toe, because it was clearly the problem. And so if the same thing happens again, why would it be any different of a paradigm than the last go around?
Well, because if it's the toe and he can't play, then all of a sudden it's Mac Jones is back out there.
Correct. And what's the problem with that?
Well, there's no problem with that in my mind, but there's plenty of problem with that in Brock's mind. You know, that's why he wants to be out there. He doesn't want Mac to be out there. He wants to be out there. So I mean,
I want to get a lot more money for my YouTube channel. We don't always get what we want. And I will say that I don't think that the 49ers organization, and particularly Kyle, has shown a proclivity to protect guys from themselves. And case in point, number 23. Case in point, number 85. But at the same time, isn't this preferable? Like, Mac Jones is playing because Brock Purdy is injured, right? If Brock Purdy's going to be perpetually injured for the rest of this year, that has been established. So you play the quarterback that gives you the best chance to win. And I think that if Brock Purdy is healthy, he gives you a better chance to win than Mac Jones. But that is a hypothetical that will never actually come to pass. You're just hoping to get something close to that concept of fully healthy at this juncture in the season. And the reason that and going back to the Jacksonville
you just said it. Why is that important at this juncture of the season? Why was it not preferable to keep rolling with the quarterback who's playing well, keep letting the quarterback who needs to heal, let him heal as much as possible, and then when you have a natural break in the schedule, the bye week, then you ramp up Brock Purdy and say, hey, go ahead, and you've got 4 games there at the end of the year, and then you got the playoffs, and if he can do it, great, and if he can't, you go back to Mac. But to me, to go to Purdy here, if you said to me what's going to happen, I think he's going to have a recurrence of the turf toe and he's out for the year. So then it's like, okay, so now you're going forward from week 10 on with just Mac Jones and Adrian Martinez and nobody.
But you're going with just Mac Jones and Adrian Martinez right now.
But not really, because other teams have to prepare for Brock Purdy, and that takes time. I think they probably are, actually. I mean, you should. I mean, Brock Purdy is a different quarterback, and he moves really well, and he's a totally different escapability guy. I think that's part of the gamesmanship in saying he's going to play every week and then being like, oh, he's not going to play. Oh, he's not going to play. Oh, he's not going to play. Because let's make you work 8 extra hours on all your Brock Purdy stuff. So that's 8 less hours that you have to scheme to beat us in other ways.
Well, to be fair, you don't really need more than a couple
Brock
hours to figure out Mac. Like that. That's the other aspect of this. Like, this team needs to win. Who gives you the best chance to win? Mac gives you a decent chance to win. Brock, if he is Brock, gives you a better chance to win. So it really does come down to just how healthy he is. And going back to the Jacksonville game, I do think that this has been glossed over in the aftermath. The Niners, everybody, it was an agreement that Brock was the healthier quarterback going into that game.
I didn't believe that. I think that's just what you say. That's what you say so that nobody asks you any more questions. You can't say, hey, B's healthier than A, but I'm playing A. Well, then you got lots of questions. If you say, hey, I'm playing A and A's healthier than B, now you have no questions. Nobody has any way to prove any of this stuff. They're not giving us access to these people. So it's just something you say to get the media off your back. I mean, I think that was all that was. I mean, because so that week Jones was more hurt than Purdy, but the following week Purdy was more hurt than Jones. No, it's we want to play Brock this week. So here's another stat.
How is that not conspiratorial?
But how's that? I mean, it's just the path of least resistance.
Mac had Mac had just
Do you really
injured
think
his
there's that many?
PCL.
You really think they change like this? It's like two horses going down the stretch in the Derby. This guy's
That
in front.
week they
That guy's
did.
in front. This guy's in front. That guy's in front.
Yeah,
it's
that
a
week
little
they
too
did.
convenient, man. Hey, isn't it? It's very convenient that the one guy who they said was healthier all of a sudden was like, hey, now we're going to play him. We want to play him. What if they wanted to play the guy who wasn't healthier? That would have been less convenient. I'm just saying it's all very convenient. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Mac, sure, I guess in that situation, but Mac had just come off of the PCL.
Are you telling me that these guys always tell us the truth? Because that's not. No. I don't believe that.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, they tell us
didn't say that at all.
They tell us what they want us to hear. They tell us.
Yeah, but I don't get to pick and choose what is and isn't the truth based on what I want to hear. Like,
well, it's like, hey,
they were
I'm going to play
limited
this
the
guy
entire week.
They came up with an injury report that jived with what they wanted the result to be.
And it's inherently a conspiratorial concept.
Well, I mean, I don't think these guys are honest at all turns. I think they do what they need to do media-wise for the good of, I mean, today, here's an example. Is it a conspiracy that the 49ers had a 3:30 presser the day after a crushing loss and then sent out a thing saying, you know what? We're going to have this presser instead. We're going to do this presser at 2:45. And then at 2:28, sent out another note.
Larry, they do that every week.
To say that, you know what? We're actually going to have this presser in 2 minutes.
Yes. They do that every week. It's the most annoying thing that happens to me every week. So they do it every week.
Is that a conspiracy? It is. It's incompetence. It's a conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is that the Niners are somehow working in behind the scenes to silence the media or to distance to make it more difficult for the media to cover their losing by moving a press conference from 3:30 to 2:45 and then at 2:28 said it's at 2:30.
I mean, yeah, that would be a conspiracy theory if it didn't happen every week.
Well, it doesn't happen every week. It doesn't happen after wins.
I can legitimately go through the text messages right now. Every week they fucking do this. It's really fucking annoying to the point where I've brought it up to the media relations team.
And what did they say?
They said, well, Kyle's very busy, and so sometimes he can, he changes his mind. And Kyle gets to, this is something.
They never push it back.
They never push back on Kyle. When Kyle goes, oh, I can deal with that now. Why is Kyle 20 minutes late to his weekly thing every week, or 10 or 5? But he's never on time. He's never on time because the world works on Kyle Shanahan's schedule inside that building. And Kyle Shanahan is not keen to hop on the phone. And so, well, I'm going to do this or that. And then, I'll do that call now. And then they do it. This is at least the third time.
So you think it's all accidental?
No, I think it's entirely incompetence. I think that the biggest joke
from
the 49ers organization as of late is that they won Media Relations Team of the Year for the NFL last year. For people coming in from out of town, all the access in the world, but for the people who have to cover this team every day, it's laughable.
They go on the record. They thinned the herd today by the way they manipulated that presser and moved it around 3 times, and then finally because they don't give you any time. It's like if you're not staring at
October 22nd, conference call has been moved up.
Yeah, but I mean, this one was moved
October
up.
20th, conference call has been moved up. October 13th, conference call has been moved up. September 29th, conference call has been moved up to 9:15 a.m.
Yeah, but this is different.
September 22nd, hey, the time for the conference call has been moved up. Coach will be on shortly.
Right.
September 15th, hey, everyone, the conference call has been moved up. Coach will be on shortly.
Guess what?
They have a text message. They have a template.
They never move it up twice, and they moved it up
August
twice.
27th, practice will now start at 11:50. Yeah, you're right. They never move it up. They moved it up by 15 minutes.
They don't.
No, they moved it up twice. No, they did. Yeah, you're right. They never move it up twice.
They don't move it up twice. I've been doing this for years. They don't move it up twice. They move it. They might move it up.
What's going on?
It's all part of this. Let's thin the herd. Instead of having 20 people on the conference call, if we move it up by a half hour, we'll have 15. If we move it up again, we'll have 5. If we have 5, no, I think they do. I think
it's Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what can be explained by stupidity.
I think that's why they do it. I mean, here's the thing. If you move it back,
they told me it's because Kyle calls the shots.
I don't believe it. If you move it back, nobody misses it. If you move it up, lots of people miss it.
Yeah.
Believe me, when they're telling you about the great charitable things that they do, they don't move that press conference up and get. Believe it or not, we donated all this money to this food bank. Oh, but we wanted to tell you about it, but we moved the presser up and nobody was there, so we can't tell you about it.
Now,
no,
to be fair on that's a different part of the organization.
Yeah, but that never happens.
And no, that never happens because that part of the organization gives a shit.
This part's never happened. As long as I've been covering the Niners, I've never seen them move the presser up twice in one day. And you're moving it up 15 minutes, and you're giving people literally 120 seconds of notice.
Oh, they've done that with the 120 seconds a bunch.
But they're alerting people through your email. You're not even texting them. So how many people really are staring at their email?
Oh, well, I'll give you a story on that one.
Where you're going to know within a minute of your email. How many people respond to emails? And when you send an email to somebody, do you expect them to come back to you in a minute? I don't.
No,
I expect
as I can see
24 to 48 hours on an email. 24 to 48 hours.
I'll agree on that one. To be fair,
it's obvious.
Right?
That's obvious.
But they send out these text messages every week, which are laughable. I also love the people who give it a thumbs up. Why? We're on a massive group chain. Stop giving a thumbs up. That's neither here nor there. I have actually, when you mentioned the email thing, this is why it's Hanlon's razor to me, because I have been burned firsthand by this, where they have moved up a Thursday press conference from like what was, I don't even remember what the normal time was. This was for Wilkes 2 years ago. They moved it up from whenever the normal time was to like 3 hours earlier, to the point where, and they let everyone know like 20 minutes beforehand. And I called them up and I'm like, I'm in Alameda. Like, how am I supposed to get down off of something? Like, I have childcare for this period of time. Like, this is unfucking excusable. Like, this is absolutely outrageous. And they're just like, oh, well, they said that they wanted to do it at this time. And, they've never given a pushback on any of this shit. I shouldn't be airing out all this laundry. But let me tell you, Larry, you can think it's a conspiracy. That's fine. It doesn't look good. I'll give you that. We can all agree it doesn't look good. But I have no doubt in my mind that it is strictly just whatever the coaches want, we'll just do, because they give no pushback whatsoever. Clip it, send it out to anyone you want inside the organization. They know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. There is no NFL head coach that, gets pushed around by his PR staff. I'll
give you that.
Doesn't exist.
I'll give you that.
The NFL coach is the central figure.
This never happened under Bob Lang.
He's the king. He's the king of, the head coach is the king of his universe. And the PR people are several rungs beneath.
This is the content people crave, by the way.
Some people dig it. Some people, heck, this guy Half Dead says, I swear this is the best show on YouTube. Thank you.
Might be the last time I get access to the 49ers after all that. So
yeah,
hope you enjoyed it.
I'm sure they could have their theories about this or that, but heck, the other day I was
don't think I'm getting on the pre or post game show anytime.
The other day I was interviewing Stone Blanton, who literally was on the team for like, I think 72 hours. And in the midst,
he also was in training camp with them and stuff. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, most recently he's been a Niner for 72 hours and then got cut. And I was doing an interview with him in the locker room at his locker. And I'm like, hey man, you got time? He's like, oh hell yeah, man, I got all the time in the world. We're talking golf, we're talking
baseball player, Stone Blanton. Yeah,
we're talking golf, we're talking baseball, we're talking he played golf with Brock and all this stuff. All this stuff. We're talking about all these different things. He's laughing, he's having a good time. PR girl comes up from behind. Stone's got to get ready for practice. I'm like, he doesn't even play. This guy doesn't even freaking play.
He's an adult man at work.
I'm interviewing a guy that doesn't even play, and you're not going to let me interview the guy that doesn't even play?
Those are the guys they're hardest core about. I was talking to Sky Moore about the first go around with the Rams, that Thursday night game. I'm talking to Sky Moore about the Joshua Carty knuckle kick and how you like prepare for it. And we were actually having like a kind of interesting conversation, and they're like, it's time for Sky to go to practice. It's like, what are we doing here?
Dude, I was rapping with Sky last week at his locker, and we were just talking. I was talking to him about, I admire the fact that this guy takes it upfield.
He wants
it's Super Bowl Sunday and everything is on the line. I love the competitive fire of Sky Moore, because this guy will absolutely, he's not the biggest guy and he will get crushed and he doesn't care. He's like, And to me, that shows rare courage. And
Mhm.
and so I started talking to him about it. I'm like, hey man, you just take it up the field. You don't dance, you don't mess around, you don't
Yeah.
screw around, you just go for it.
You're
He's
kind of
like,
crazy, aren't you?
yeah, I'm like going into it. I'm like, you're a little crazy. And he's like, but I get blown up, man. I get blown up. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, you do get blown up.
Hell yeah, brother.
But I go, you know what? You don't cough it up. And the other day you were against the Falcons, you went up on the sideline against like 6 dudes. You took like 5 hits. And so we started talking about that. And he's telling me about the film study session, how the guys were giving him, it's you against the world. And
yeah.
so we're having a good conversation.
It's
and as I'm
for
saying
Sky
there,
to
I'm
go
not
to
even
practice.
recording him. We're not even
Yeah.
recording him. Just talking. We're just talking. We're just 2 dudes talking.
Yeah.
And like, Corey Rush, the PR guy, walks by once. He walks by a second time. He walks by a third time. It's like, dude, what are you so worried about? What are you worried about? Am I going to ask him, hey, by the way, if you guys get into 3rd and long, what's the secret go-to play?
Right. Have you ever talked to Sky Moore? Trust me, he doesn't know that play.
What if you guys really have one play in the what's the secret?
But we're
talking just we're just dudes.
This is the
talking.
other this is the other part that makes me bitch. But like, and I have the utmost respect for these guys in the national media who do this, but they just get carte blanche. Oh, you want to, if I go up to fucking Brock, who, listen, Brock and I don't have like some like, hey man, how you doing relationship, but he knows my face. He understands that I'm not coming up to him just being like, oh, it's Brock Purdy. Oh, maybe he'll talk to me. Like, I'm coming up, we shoot the shit for a little bit. We talk a little bit like normal adult men, just having it's just people having a conversation, trying to glean a little bit of insight. I'm not trying to, get state secrets here. I'm just wondering like, hey, what is that check? Like, why'd you check to that? Like, that's interesting. It's a small thing. I'm just curious. Has nothing to do with anything. Oh my God. They might as well have an alarm system in the goddamn locker room if I do it. But meanwhile, and I really do like Mike Silver, but if Mike Silver sidles up to him, they'll just like join in on the conversation. Like, oh no, it's Mike. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. But if Dieter goes anywhere near him, that's a DEFCON 2 situation. Throw Peter on him. It's like, sorry, we shouldn't be having this conversation publicly, but it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And this is why, people, oh, you're so cynical about the Niners all the time, this or that. Well, this is not why, but ultimately it doesn't help. And I'll tell you what, if y'all want to learn something about PR, look at the way that Raymond Ritter has done it for the Warriors forever. When they sucked, he was all about helping you out. And when they rocked, he was all about helping you out. And yes, he understands who writes his paychecks. He's not an idiot. He understands how to balance it. But this sort of Gestapo preventing, state secret bullshit that they got going on with the Niners, like, how complicated do you think that? What are we doing? Like, how is this an issue? I find it so reprehensible, and it's it leaks out every now and again. In the sense of, like, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt as an organization when this is how you handle the most meaningless business of the day. It's laughable. When they won PR Staff of the Year, I openly cackled and thought it was a bit.
Couple more things. We'll move off of.
Yeah, well, I'm moving off of something, as in access to the Niners.
Yeah, well,
they're definitely
hey man,
one now.
sometimes
it's good to get to though.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta. My whole thing is, hey, look, I'm gonna speak the truth.
Yeah,
you know what? If that makes me popular, then I'm popular. And if it makes me unpopular, then I'm unpopular. And I'm just gonna have to speak the truth. And I don't have enough time to carry the Niners water. And,
well, yeah, I'm definitely not doing favors. What are they doing for me?
At the end of the day, it's like I don't care. I don't want to be beholden to anybody. I don't want anybody beholden to me. I don't want to
tell the truth. I got a bunch of.
I don't ask for anything. If you like, I'm the last person in the media. I'm not asking for somebody to get me a little special on the side or a little extra this or that, or can you set this up? Because they don't want to do it, and I don't want to ask them, and I don't want to be beholden to them, and I don't want to be their friend. I really 100%. Don't. I want to be able to rip the shit out of them whenever I want to.
Right.
And do it.
And by the way, we praise them when they're great, and then they didn't have to earn that at all. But it goes both ways. And how about this? If you're not going to help, get the fuck out of the way. That's my thought. If you're not going to help, get the fuck out of the way. I understand that there's a certain threshold of, maybe we're taking advantage of time and this and that. If it's 1:35 and locker room closed at 1:30, that's fine. Kick us out. That's cool. That's against the rules. But unbelievable. You're not helping anybody. All you're doing is hindering. And then you get pissed off that we're not, doing lip service for them after they get their teeth kicked in. And it's like, what do you expect? What do you think this operation is? What do you think it is we do here? And what they think is that we all work for 49ers.com, which couldn't be further from the truth.
All right, let's hit a couple other things.
Sure.
One, are they what's going on at left guard? Is it Burford? Is it Barch? I mean, they went with Burford as the starter. They pulled him in the second quarter. They went to Barch. Burford had 35 total snaps. Barch had 28. So they obviously went back to Burford in the second half.
Right.
What's the rhyme and reason? Who's going to start in Arizona? Who would you like to see start?
I'd like to get Barch in there until he gets injured again. I mean, I know that's a pretty dark way of phrasing it, but Burford's going to be there. Burford's going to be around. What more do you need to see from Spencer Burford at left guard? He hasn't practiced it up until the last couple of weeks. This is not some make or break situation. He's just a dude. And Barch is probably just a dude too, but he's shown more pop and more polish. And he's probably not in it for the long run because he gets injured all the time. But I think Barch gives you the best chance to win. I won't pretend. I'll say this. The offensive line played very well yesterday. And surprisingly
except for Burford and Brendel, who basically had the most pressures allowed.
Yeah, but it wasn't egregious, and Mac with his limited mobility was able to work away from it the couple of times that it happened. There were also a couple of times where Purdy just kept going backwards, never quite losing the rep in totality, but just kept moving backwards. That's manageable. When that's as bad as it is for an offensive line against that defensive line, you had a good day. And I don't want to see a rotation because I don't believe in offensive line rotations, but it seems to me as if they had Barch on a pitch count limit, given he's coming off an injury. And I don't think that should last for 2 weeks. So I'd see Barch until he gets injured, in which case you're getting Burford again anyway.
Who do you want to start at free safety opposite Mustafa? Neither of the safeties are playing well. Brown's not playing well. Mustafa's not playing well. Pinnock, maybe played the best of the three.
But he was close to the line of scrimmage, which has never been his issue. His issue is space.
Siegel played well early, then he got toasted. Now he's on the bench, but he's had some big tackle totals, and he's a pretty good coverage prospect. Who should? I mean, I would go with Siegel and Mustafa
100%.
and just stay with it. And I don't understand why they took. I don't understand why they took Siegel off the field. I know he was getting burned a little bit, but he's also making a ton of tackles.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe there was an injury there that they weren't telling us about, but I'd like to see Siegel and Mustafa.
If we want to do conspiracy theory, my conspiracy theory on Siegel is that he was losing his confidence, and they're trying to protect him in that regard. I don't have any good insight on that. I haven't been able to catch him. He's a soft-spoken guy. He was very obviously communicating a lot early in the season, but it is kind of jarring that a guy who unquestionably, based on the way that they were deploying him in so many areas across the field, was liked. They started him as a rookie in Seattle, and they moved him everywhere, and that kept up for weeks. And yes, he started to get got in the pass game, but he was in position. He just wasn't playing the ball well. He didn't make that. He wasn't in position, to be fair, on the Tez Johnson touchdown against the Buccaneers, and it felt like that's where everything turned, even more so than the Rams game. I just don't understand. Okay, Siegel might be losing his confidence. You're trying to protect him in that regard. That's the best case scenario. Why has Robert Saleh lost confidence in him, though? And why has Robert Saleh forgotten the message that he told us at the beginning of the year, which is that this is going to be a roller coaster ride, and there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, and we got to stick with it because it's a young defense and they need the reps to get better. Why is it that Marquise Siegel, okay, maybe 1 week you say, hey, they do this in hockey a lot, like go up in the press box and watch, like, get a little third party perspective here. Why did he need 2 weeks of that? Like what is it about Jair Brown that makes you say that Marquise Siegel has no place to play here? I don't understand.
Sounds like a Shanahan thing to me, because Shanahan, when he was asked about it, he's like, asked about Jair, and then he's like, I really like Tig. Anytime you're asked a question about a player and you go with the nickname, that's almost a giveaway that you really like the player. And then Shanahan said, I really like Tig, and he's really practicing well. He's coming on. So
Kyle really likes smart guys, and Brown has said some silly things, but he is a very sharp kid. And he's not really a kid anymore. He's a sharp guy. I think Siegel's a really sharp kid. He's a kid, but yes, it does. That's a good thought, in that Kyle has sort of come in from over the top, as he has been wont to do from time to time, and sort of pulled rank in a situation where, who knows? But I didn't get a lot of warmth when you asked Saleh 2 weeks ago, I think it was, about Siegel and why he's not playing. Like, I didn't get a lot of warmth from that comment from Saleh, who generally speaks in kind of glowing terms about guys if he does like you. So
well, who Siegel's guy is? Lynch. Because Lynch went on with Murph and Marcus and was like, Siegel's going to get back in there. Don't worry. He's down right now, but he'll get back in there. Yeah. So he's the guy who drafted him, and he sounds like the fan of his. I just think Siegel's the better cover guy, and it's a coverage game. So it's like, why are you messing around with anybody who's not the best coverage guy? Especially when the other guy's like a linebacker.
What do we not know about Jair Brown by now? Like, he hasn't shown anything different.
If Jair Brown's good enough to start, then it's got to be over Mustafa. And if Mustafa keeps playing the way he's playing, maybe Jair should start over Mustafa. I mean, I don't think Mustafa's playing all that great.
No, he's playing poorly.
So, I mean, to me, Mustafa's a strong safety. There's no question that Brown's a strong safety. I think Siegel's a free safety. I think Pinnock's more of a free safety, but he also can be used up on the line of scrimmage. So he can play either role. I only think they have one true free safety, and I think it's Siegel.
I don't even think it's him. I mean, truth be told, like I was actually going back and reading back my draft analysis, because I just put out a column where
he was a corner.
Yeah, no, he has the ability to cover space like that, but he doesn't see the field. And this was an issue that, it was pretty evident at Kansas State. Like, he was always really late to the play, but he was coming in there real fast once he figured out what was happening. He's a downhill guy, and I don't disagree that he might be the most free safety of all of those, but I think this was something I brought up, one in the draft analysis, which is that, like, you want to keep him near the line of scrimmage, is where he can do the most damage. And then 2, going into the season, it's like, oh, great, they have 4 strong safeties. How's that going to work? Like, cool. Like, I get getting rid of Hufanga when you have all these strong safeties. Do you want to get a free?
I mean, Hufanga is playing great this year, but he also was a box safety.
No, I'm with you. Like, and again, I was not a Hufanga guy. Like,
I don't play great this year. He didn't play this way last year.
But they use him as a Sam linebacker, which is what he's always been, and he's an interesting weapon. But you put him out in coverage against even a remotely talented tight end, and he's barbecue chicken. So. But he's an impact player. He brings thump to a defense. That kind of stuff matters. I'm not trying to take anything away from Huff. I wouldn't have paid him what the Broncos paid him. The Niners didn't. And I don't think that they're any worse off for not having Talanoa Hufanga. Again, it's a strange bit of roster construction to where, and this is, maybe the Lynch of it all, to where they don't have a guy who can cover an immense amount of ground. They don't have a guy with inherent coverage instincts. What they have are a lot of guys who are really good at filling in on the run, albeit to differing levels, but
kind of makes my Chauncey Gardner-Johnson idea sound pretty good.
I never disagreed with that one. We've disagreed on a lot, Larry, but I was
but lots of people are like, dude, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. What do you mean how? I mean, this guy played corner, he played free safety, he's played every spot in the secondary, and he's been damn good. And everywhere he's been, he's won. And now he's in Chicago, and he just won a game ball. And you're sitting there with rookies that can't do the job, street free agents, and you don't have the solution. And it's week 10.
It's certainly never been an issue for the 49ers to bring in a safety off the street late in the season, late in training camp, and just throw them in there. Like, I'm a believer that safeties are destiny, and I do find some optimism for the future with the talent level of a Siegel and the talent level of Mustafa. But like, if safety's our destiny, this team is cooked because their safeties suck right now. Like, full stop. They suck right now.
Two last ones. What should be the split between CMC and B-Rob? And I'm not talking about touches because, you know, right. I'm looking at, this is the production so far. CMC's got 180 carries, 69 receptions. Brian Robinson has 49 carries, 6 receptions. So what CMC is 149 touches. B-Rob is 55. Between the two of them, CMC is 73% of the touches, 27% go to Brian Robinson. If you throw it and separate it by carries, though, CMC is got 79%, almost 80% of the carries, and it's like an 80-20 split. CMC averaged 2.5 yards per carry on 12 rushes in this last game. Brian Robinson averaged 5.1 a carry on 8.
He looked good. Yeah.
Then you mix in the fact that CMC's only had 2 games all season where he's averaged over 4 yards a carry. Brian Robinson has had 5 games like that this year. And then when you look at what's happened recently, over the last 2 games, Brian Robinson is averaging 7.2 yards per carry, but he's only got 13 combined carries. I love CMC. I think he's great, but I think they got to use Brian Robinson. I'd like to see them used together, but I'd also like to see Brian Robinson get a higher percentage, 20% of the carries for a guy who's an NFL starter. I get it. CMC's better, but that's why CMC should have, 65% of the carries, not 80% of the carries. I think they've gone overboard on the carries, and I think Brian Robinson is not getting the ball enough. That's how I see that. What do you think?
The issue with Robinson is that if he's in the game, you know what's happening because he's not a viable threat to catch the ball or even really run a route. And he's not particularly good at pass pro, despite having the ability to deliver a bit of a thump. So if he's in the game, he's either useless or running the ball. And I do think that the gap scheme stuff that they've really kind of committed to, some weeks more than others, but since that Atlanta game, they tried it out in Tampa, but really since the Atlanta game has done wonders for them because it's opened up some larger holes. They weren't getting any movement up front against zone. Everyone knows how to defend zone these days. That's why gap was so clever when they really went full bore with it in Atlanta. And, this week will be interesting because, again, it's a 1.5 gap system. But against a one gap defensive front like most teams run these days, it's money. It's absolute money. Pooney's so much better at it. You're not losing that much with McKivitz, even though he's a better zone blocker. It gives Brendel a better shot of actually making an impact as opposed to just sort of being a janitor in the middle. And with you got three left guards that are in good spot. The pin and pull stuff with Trent is really good. Like the gap stuff needs to stick. And in 2019 they did it as well, and it was really quite good. That was a Mike McDaniel joint. This is a kind of a collective decision on that front. But that has opened up Robinson. But again, you were going back to sort of the conceptual mind of a Kyle Shanahan. He wants defenses to beat themselves. Like in his heart of hearts, he doesn't believe that he's actually doing anything cool. Like he's not running cool plays that challenge defenses. He is presenting options to defenses and allowing them to basically commit seppuku on the field. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, but like the Kyle Shanahan distinctive look of a defense is a linebacker who is standing there trying to process 4 things at one time because they have 4 responsibilities that have all been thrown on them at the same time. And they've put them in such conflict that they just stand there because they don't know what else to do. And that's happened when this Niners defense is really working at its highest. It certainly happened against Atlanta. Brian Robinson doesn't create that kind of conflict in defenses, whereas obviously Christian McCaffrey does. So I'm with you that I would like to see Brian Robinson in there more, and maybe simple is better. But I don't think that Kyle's going to do it on the basis of Brian Robinson doesn't allow Kyle Shanahan to run his offense to the degree that Kyle Shanahan wants to run it. And he's clearly built this entire offense around, especially in the post-Debo era, around Christian McCaffrey and the conflict that he creates for defenses. So I do think that 25% is fair. I think that actually full series with Brian Robinson would be the best way to go about it, particularly if, you go from, you have a nice long drive, CMC, I'm sure, touches the ball 8-9 times during that drive because either Mac or Brock is just going to be dumping it off to him repeatedly. Defense gets out there, 3 and out, or 6 and out, and you get the ball back relatively quickly. Like, don't throw CMC back out there. Go out there and battering ram them by running the ball. But that might be a concept too far for Kyle. I'm with you. I just don't expect it to happen. And I do think that the way that they maybe could make it work is by having both of them on the field, but that also kind of just doesn't work because, again, Robinson isn't a threat to do anything other than the most basic runs, which are looking good in gap, but in general, just don't force defenses to have to account for them in any ways besides the obvious ones. And that's just too simple for a genius like Kyle Shanahan to actually run.
Last one. The veteran cornerback, Asante Samuel Jr., was in Santa Clara for a workout today.
Yeah.
He's a 26-year-old. He's played 4 seasons with the Chargers, second-round pick out of Florida State in 2021. He was limited to 4 games last year. He's got stingers in both shoulders.
He's got a fused back.
Right. And previously he's played for Green Bay, Carolina, Minnesota, or previously visited, I should say.
Right.
And he will visit Chicago and Pittsburgh in addition to the Niners. Should the Niners have interest in Asante Samuel Jr.?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think it does anything, but it's better depth than what they have. If Lenor or, heaven forbid, Renardo Green, who is so up and down. I mean, maybe I'm overstating it with the heaven forbid, but like you can't go to Darrell Luter. We've seen what that looks like. It doesn't look good. It's quite bad, in fact. You can't play Stout on the outside. So, yeah, they need the depth. I just don't think that it changes anything fundamentally for this defense. I don't think that it somehow makes this defense not wildly porous against the pass if Asante Samuel with his fused back is out there. But he's probably a better player than Luter. So, yeah, absolutely, they should be interested.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this. I mean, it's a passing league. Cam Bynum was a corner at Cal, and he wasn't the most physical corner either. And he has emerged as one of the NFL's better free safeties. Why?
Right.
Because he can cover. And when you can cover and you're kind of a dog, that's really all you need to be. It's like the era of Chuck Cecil, Joey Browner, David Fulcher, Ronnie Lott.
Right.
These safeties don't exist anymore. So it's really all of a coverage game. What do you think of just adding another corner and putting him at free safety and playing 2 deep safeties and just letting him cover? I mean, how often is he going to have to make plays against the run? I mean, it's
actually pretty quite often, actually.
Passing league, though. I mean, it's a passing league.
I'm with you. I think that you'd
you
have
can't
to make
cover,
a lot more.
You can't play.
I'm with you. I agree. I'm not sure Asante Samuel is the one we want to try that out with, frankly.
No,
but
I know. But
there needs to, because you meant the key part is, Cam Bynum could cover. Cam Bynum is also a pretty thick boy relative to other corners, and he's got the crazy. Like he'll bring some thump. Asante Samuel ain't that guy. Asante Samuel is the guy who makes business decisions when the ball gets run his direction. Like he's a Sauce Gardner type. And yes, I'm sure
what
Sauce
I was
Gardner
going to say is play him at the corner and play Lenore at the safety spot.
Now that I'm down with. That said, Lenore in open space has been awful this year. So Lenore.
I don't think he's healthy right now either. He got folded a couple times in this game.
Maybe. I just think he's not a very good outside corner, and that the Niners messed that one up. Maybe that's confirmation bias on my end. Actually, there are some advanced numbers that say he's doing a really good job on the outside, but I don't see it. I see boneheaded plays. I see a misunderstanding of kind of basic coverage schemes where he is obviously in the wrong compared to his teammates. I see somebody who, it's great that you're aggressive. Like, that's cool. Corners should be aggressive, but I see someone who's just gambling. I see someone, frankly, who should be close to the line of scrimmage and in the mix in the middle of the field. And that's what he was. That's what he was legitimately great at. I would make the argument he was the best nickel in the NFL. There's a lot of very good ones these days, but I thought he was the best. And he is average, just bog standard on the outside with a lot of risk to very little reward. Free safety, kind of.
I mean, it's in his future. It's just a matter, is it now or is it later? I mean, he's like Merton Hanks, corners who bulk up and don't run, play inside if they're smart. He is smart. Yeah, eventually he's going to play inside.
I mean, there's not a lot of evidence. I can't speak to him on a personal level. I don't have that kind of relationship with him. But he makes a lot of boneheaded plays, and it's not just airs of commission because he's aggressive. A lot of stuff where he just doesn't know the play, and again, when he's in the middle of the field and there's a lot of traffic, he might not know the play all that well, but the play ain't that complicated most of the time. See ball, hit ball, carry that guy who's running with you. I have no problems with Upton Stout. I'm still kind of bullish on Upton Stout long term, but the presence of Upton Stout now precludes the 49ers from putting Lenor back to where he really belongs and prevented them from getting an outside corner who, can provide more upside than Lenor. Again, it's not Upton Stout's fault, but that feels like a moment that we'll come back to in a couple of years and be like, man, that's kind of where some stuff got screwed up, didn't
it? Justin's like, Bynum is big.
He's wide.
I don't know.
He's wide.
I mean, Bynum is listed at 6 feet 200. Demo's listed at 5'11", 200. I mean,
but Demo's 200 is not Bynum's. I've seen both of these guys in the flesh. Like they're not the same.
Demo's jacked this year.
I don't disagree. That he's jacked. He's lanky. He's a lanky type.
Bynum's a little bit more of a hitter, but Demo's had some big hits too. He had the big knockout hit on DeAndre Swift. All right, last one.
Again, my issue with Lenor isn't that he couldn't bring the thump and that he can't play safety. It's that him in the open field is a recipe for disaster, which we're already seeing at outside corner. Strong safety, there's a different conversation to be had there.
We'll go to our supers here. We're brought to you by Habas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Today's show is sponsored by Habas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people here in Northern California, and they're fierce, they're relentless, they're attorneys that don't back down until justice is done. When you're injured, insurance companies try to dodge. That's basically their game plan. And Habas Law doesn't let them dodge. They know the playbook. They've been battling and beating insurance companies for decades. They're partnered with the Giants, the Earthquakes, the Sharks, San Jose State, and others. They're very rooted here in the community. So if you need someone in your corner, call the firm insurance companies hope you never call, and that's Habas Law. They will fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com. 1-800-INJURED is their number. And thanks to Habas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's hit our 10 supers, and we'll bolt for the door. Actually, it's probably more like 7 or 8. I threw a couple else in there. Joseph Ernberg says, won't be contenders.
You can be 8, 9, or 10. Just get in now.
Yeah. Contenders won't be contenders till 2030. 3 more drafts needed. Oh, my God.
John Lynch ain't getting those.
Yeah, that's not happening. I don't think.
I mean, that might be true, but it's going to be a different regime who's making those picks.
I think Shanahan's got good staying power. I think Lynch might be kicked upstairs as soon as next year. That would be my guess. Especially if they miss the playoffs this year. If they miss the playoffs, I think there's a very good chance.
I think there's a full other season for Lynch. Because again, my issue is you're right. They could just bump him upstairs into more of a political role of sorts. But like
president,
who on the?
I don't know if he wants to do that job.
I mean, probably not. Probably go back to the booth. Probably take a GM job somewhere else. But at the same time, I don't know who on the 49ers current staff would take or they would bump up into that job.
I mean, I think the first guy would probably be Tariq Ahmad. That would be my guess. But also Josh Williams, who went to my high school, St. Ignatius, is considered to be a very much of an up-and-comer. He interviewed for a couple different jobs last year. I don't think he's going to get the job. I think he's going to leave to take another job, but I think he's going to get a job.
Yeah, I think he'll be a number 2 somewhere probably as soon as next year.
What's he now? He's probably, where is he?
It's very murky.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think he is, I think he's going to get hired away and they'll take the draft compensation picks. I don't know if it's going to be an internal guy. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's a good question.
I mean, that's a huge red flag, right? If you're hiring somebody else to be the GM to now work with Kyle, like that's one of those, this thing is ending sooner rather than later. We're just covering our asses on the way out situation.
Well, I don't know. I mean, let's get everybody in the roles that they're best at. I think John Lynch is a great face of the franchise. I think he's a great president. I think he might be the best option for president on the entire team as far as team president. But there are guys around the league, Brad Holmes.
Al Guido's just sitting here like, why am I getting drive-bys?
Yeah, well, I mean, and Al Guido could be given a different title as well. I'm not saying.
Yeah. You're saying basically, John gets some new title, but he's not the man who handles the day-to-day stuff. Yeah.
Well, maybe you make John the head of football ops, and then you make, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, when we talk about the depth chart, like, okay, well, you promote John into a role. Well, now does he not have more power in that? And then if you have this vacancy in the
say on the person,
right?
But the understanding would be that you would bring in somebody's college scouting director who would then have a say on your drafting, or at least be willing to work with Shanahan. I don't know.
The other aspect of this is, let's not forget that, like, I'm pretty sure it's contractual, but it's certainly on, the understanding is that Kyle has roster control. That was an agreement made between him and Jed when they hired him, that he got to pick the GM to handle his dirty work, but he had roster control. And while Kyle has openly, I don't know openly, but he has certainly ceded a lot of that roster control to John, there have been times in the past, specifically the Brandon Ayuk time most recently, where he has just pulled rank. And so the idea of getting rid of John, or, demoting John through a promotion, wouldn't that just create a power vacuum for Kyle to take more of the gig? And how's that worked out in the past? Like, so this is why I've spoken about this before.
Keep it the same way. I mean, you keep it the same way. Kyle has final say, and now you're just bringing in somebody to help you with the draft. I mean, personally, there's lots of different ways to do it, really. I mean, I one way that I would consider doing it for next year is don't make any changes, but then go invest $250,000 in John Dorsey or Scott McLuhan or somebody who's good at this, somebody who's picked winners in the draft that can give you some consulting. I mean, it's not accidental that John Dorsey went to Kansas City right when they got Mahomes. It's not accidental that John Dorsey then went to Detroit when Detroit started drafting Brian Branch, and John Dorsey was right there in the war room. I can remember it like it was yesterday when they drafted the running back from Georgia. Why was he his name? Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Bama.
He are from Alabama. He was right there in the room, and they were high-fiving him. So I bet you anything, he was like, hey, man, go for the running back here, which is, not exactly it goes kind of against some of the rules. But if you have the conviction, you have the conviction. And Jahmyr Gibbs is damn good. And he's probably like the modern-day McCaffrey. So you could argue that. So, I mean, I would go give John Dorsey $500,000 and say, hey, John, from New Year's through draft day, how about you camp out here? And let's give your draft expertise. Let's give our draft room another voice, and let's do it instead of having more voices for analytics people that aren't going to be here in 2 years. Let's go with a personnel guy who's got a track record of Mahomes and the Lions, and come on, let's go.
Don't ask what happened with the Browns, but yeah,
he drafted a lot of great players in Cleveland, including Myles Garrett, I believe.
That was a real tough one.
Yeah, but I mean, he did it. He really did. JOK was a damn good player before he got hurt.
It's a good pick.
That was a great pick. Denzel Ward, pretty damn good player. I mean, they actually
3 overall. Denzel Ward, was he not?
Yeah, they had some good momentum going. I'm just saying, Dorsey.
I don't disagree. They made the playoffs with his teams.
Heck, if you trust McLuhan, go with McLuhan. I'd probably go with Dorsey, but
it kind of comes back to a point that I've made a couple of times on this show, which is that the attrition from the front office and the scouting department and the personnel guys has been significant, and it hasn't been properly replaced because they're so in love with sort of the 49ers way of doing things and being high class and all this. And it's not to say that they should bring in some guy who's tearing up the wallpaper or anything, but like they feel like they do it different than everybody else, and so they constantly promote from within. And I've had these conversations with people with other teams, and they're like, it's just not. It doesn't seem like it's an organization that's humming right now. It feels like they're missing a couple cylinders, and that the cylinders that are working are making some noise. And there's going to be natural attrition when you're successful, but the fact that they haven't replaced it and that there's not a clear understanding of, who's making the calls, X, Y, or Z, like whose expertise is, like they let the coaches do the draft this year. Like that's weird. It's weird. Yeah. You want their input. You want them to be participants, but Jed York's out here tweeting, "Oh, we'll just let Robert pick," and like not as a joke. That actually happened.
Well, I mean, a lot. Why did you use a 7th round pick on Junior Bergen? Because you're all in on the special teams coach, but you don't give your special teams coach draft picks. No. Go and you're bad on the offensive line. Go draft another offensive lineman.
But that their offensive line coach doesn't want anybody who doesn't reach his standard.
Bergen was not an NFL player. I mean that, and to say because Boyer's son was on Montana State. There's a lot of junk in their game. Stuff that does not matter seems to matter to them, and they need to clear out some of that junk that lives in their game.
I don't think they'd have anything left.
The guy that I would go after and I'd pay him double what he's making is Gutekunst. Look what he's done in Green Bay. He's a scout. He's a former director of college scouting. Look what they've done. Look what they've done. They've gotten all kinds of good picks, all kinds of good players. They got tight ends. They got all kinds of depth. They got so much depth that they could go get Micah Parsons, and that made that trade work because of the depth, because of his pick. So I'd go for the Gutekunst type guy.
I'm with him.
But I would definitely do something there. All right, let's roll through these.
Sorry, yeah.
Alex D's, which trade that happened do you wish that we made? I would say the trade that didn't happen or did happen. I mean, the trade that did happen or didn't happen, I would have wanted to give a day 2 pick to the Jets for Will McDonald. I wasn't fired up about day 2 pick for Jermaine Johnson because he's already had a major surgery, and Michael Clemens, no way for a day 2 pick, but I would have tried to get the Jets interested in some combination of a day 2 pick for Will McDonald. Will McDonald is exactly what you need in the wide 9. He's another Bryce Huff. He can burn the edge. He's got unbelievable bend and athleticism, and he had like 4 sacks in the next game. So, I mean, Will McDonald is a real-time, big-time player, great athlete, great attitude. There's no downside there. I would have tried to get Will McDonald. As far as the trade that didn't happen, as far as the trade that actually happened, I think the Eagles trade. I would have wanted to trade the 3rd-round pick for Jalen Phillips. You saw Phillips tonight. He looked really good. That was the pick. Miami was going to move. The other one I would have loved to have made that wasn't made was I would have loved to have gotten Bradley Chubb away from Miami because Bradley Chubb can rush the passer, and in the wide 9, I think he would have been good. So that's all. I don't know which other than that, but
I would have done the 4th and the 5th if you still add him for Raheed Shaheed, but if nothing else, so that Seattle doesn't get him. But
I mean, I was really fired up about Brian Thomas Jr. To me, like in the offseason, if you wanted Ricky Pearsall, I'd flip Ricky Pearsall to Jacksonville for Brian Thomas, even though Brian Thomas sucked this year, because Brian Thomas looked good under Mac Jones, and he just hasn't looked good with Trevor. And I think that's a relationship that's gone south. I also kind of think that they're going to look to remove Thomas. They're going to look for a replacement. They're there in Central Florida. Ricky went to Florida. I think Ricky for Brian Thomas makes sense. I think that.
I'll hear it out.
That could be a win-win. We got this one from Larry. Can you start making charts like David thinks he needs a little competition? All right, I just had to put that in there just to zing him. Silencer.
Imagine Larry making a chart.
Charts.
You mean Kevin?
Charts. If you see here. I'm much more likely to wind up doing a video where I have a laser pointer because I do for my scouting days have a laser pointer because they required all of us to have laser pointers for any time we had meetings. They wanted you to have a laser pointer so you could sit there and say what you
This
thought.
is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong.
What
How's
did
your
you
grease?
see?
How are your grease board circle X? Or how's your grease board X's and O's right now? You still got it?
My grease board stuff's never been good, but my laser. I mean, I can.
Oh, you
I
got
can
that
point
laser
with the
down.
best. I can point and click.
Okay. Good to know.
Look at this one. What the F, Kyle? Go young, cheap. It doesn't play rookies. Yeah, I mean this whole year.
Who said that Kyle wanted to go young and cheap?
Yeah, I mean that's why it was. That's why I think this whole thing was kind of forced upon him by Jed. Brad Jones has just watched a quick PFF midseason draft, and they took Lumu from Ole Miss at 18 over TJ Parker from
Clemson.
ED from the edge
from Clemson. Yeah.
Lomu's from Utah, isn't he? He's talking about Utah. Yeah, he said Ole Miss. Lomu's the two tackles at Utah.
To be fair, PFF might have said he's from Ole Miss. There, my God.
I will say this, guys. They're one of my favorite guys. I mean, Dieter does his own draft guide, so I listen to a lot of his draft stuff. Jake, I just talked to Jake in the presser on the press box the other day, yesterday, and obviously I like what he has to say about the draft. One of my favorite guys that I had on Niners Nightly a lot in the springtime, and he's really good. And he puts out some really good draft stuff, and you should check him out. He used to work for the Commanders. His name's Ryan Fowler, and he works for the Draft Network.
Yeah, I know Fowler. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's really good. And he just put out a thing yesterday or the other day on Twitter of like 5 guys that he really likes per conference that are, that he's hearing whispers about from the scouts. And there's a lot of interesting names there. One of them, like in the Big Ten, was Arvell Reese, who from Ohio State.
You're hearing some whispers about the Arvell Reese?
He's probably going to go top 20.
That's not a whisper. That's a man with a bullhorn yelling at full volume. Yeah. He's good.
Arvell Reese is pretty good. The defensive end from Missouri's pretty good too. Zion Young. I watched A&M beat up on Missouri this weekend.
That was not an entertainment match.
Missouri's got the ugliest looking stadium right now because they're doing construction in the south end zone and they just won't wet it down. And there was all this dust flying in that game. It was like, Jesus, somebody take it.
That's why they lost, Lair. It was too much dust. I mean, if you just wet that down, they would win.
Hey, I'll give Missouri credit, man. They stood up to A&M on the line of scrimmage for the first half in that game. They absolutely battled. Adrian Hardy's a beast. I like Missouri as far as they got dudes, they got athletes, they're fun to watch. But A&M's on a different level.
They have a quarterback.
Yeah, but A&M right now, A&M's got a left guard named Bizantis, who's a beast, and they've got Marcel Reed, and they've got really good backs and multiple receivers.
What's the Cassius guy? 9 off the edge.
Cassius Howell. He's like a Von Miller.
I think my concern with Cassius Howell is that he's a little small.
Yeah, little small. Like Von Miller. He's 6'2", 250. Yeah, he's not 6'6".
Boy, does he fire! He is something.
Oh, he's really good. And then the offensive line for A&M is outstanding. I mean,
Mike Elko is always going to have a good offensive line.
Yeah, Elko looks so not competent,
and yet he is. That let everybody think that dude is legitimately one of the smartest dudes in all of football. Elko
looks like the guy with the stapler from Office Space.
Dude, they were calling out Missouri's plays. That game was so well scouted for A&M that the A&M defense knew every Missouri play that's coming. And listen. I'm pissed at Missouri right now because the season's gone to hell. And I don't like all these coaching rumors with Drink and all this. But like Eli Drinkwitz is like considered by SEC standards to be a very good offensive coordinator. I know Kirby Moore actually calls the plays, but like in terms of like his offense, it is regarded very highly. And Elko had him pegged, absolutely worked him. And that's supposed to be, the smartest coach in the SEC in Eli Drinkwitz. Meanwhile, Elko's just doing laps around him, which legitimately didn't surprise me, but probably surprised a lot of people because you look at him and he's wearing like a smock. It's like a size 5X, hoodie. And he's just looking like, oh, me? I don't coach. That dude's a killer. Elko's as good as it gets. Honestly, if there's an NFL team that has a vacancy right now and you don't interview Mike Elko for the job, you're not doing your job right. Because he can recruit really well, and obviously the apparatus he's got at A&M is very high level, and he has no reason to leave that because he's also making a tremendous amount of money. But that dude schemes it up and organizes his teams as good as anybody. Look at what he did at Duke in his 1 year. He was next level at Duke. I know he's getting a lot of love for the Penn State job right now. I don't think he's leaving A&M.
No, he's not. A&M's got all the money. A&M's
well, it depends on the price of oil by the day, but
I mean, A&M is maybe the richest school in the country. I mean, they have their NIL. Yeah. It's like 100%. They got all
the biggest athletic department in the country, but
their facilities are incredible.
Yeah, Texas Tech. Texas Tech has the best facilities in college football right now, though.
Dude, have you been to Kyle Field?
I have.
Kyle Field's amazing.
Larry,
amazing.
Have I been to Kyle Field? Yeah, I've been to Kyle Field. Have you seen the new facilities in Lubbock? Holy shit.
Well, I mean, supposedly, a lot of these schools. I mean, Oregon State's amazing. I mean, there's an Oregon, kind of set the standard.
Oregon's out of control.
A&M has so much money, and they have so much.
A&M and
so
Texas
much
are just in a dick measuring contest between those two, and it's really quite something. Also, Aggie Land is just generally weird. I didn't enjoy my time there, but I could admit that they have really good facilities.
Well, they got great. For sure. They got great talent. I mean, Torian York, amazing linebacker. He's really good. Will Lee, the corner, number 4. He's a tremendous player.
Both units have like 8 or 9 NFL guys.
Cassius Howell, great player. Dalton Brooks, really good player. They got all kinds of guys.
Concepcion, like what a pickup that was.
Concepcion, Ashton Bethel Roman, the freshman.
They got
he's amazing.
They even got Emmitt Smith's kid.
Yeah, LJ, who left Stanford and is there. KC Concepcion. I mean, Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed is great.
Marcel Reed's a really good player. If he ever learns how to, see and throw the ball, it's game over for everybody because that dude can run it.
Oh, he can run. He's smart. He's good.
He's sharp. He's a sharp kid.
Yeah, his
sister's on the staff at Missouri. That's a good family.
Okay, there you go. Harry Johnson said our safety suck. Interior line sucks. Okay.
Which interior line?
Yeah, which interior line, man?
Defensive.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously, the interior defensive line's bad right now too.
It is awful.
I mean, why are they playing Givens so many snaps? I mean, I want to see more CJ West and less Givens.
You are going to get your wish once you got 2 more losses. You got a loss to the Browns, and they're going to be like, oh, we're going to go all young guys from here on out. Right when
they need to. I mean, play their young guys. I mean, at this point, develop. Harry Johnson says Gifford is the white Devondre.
Gifford's a nice guy.
Yeah, Gifford's a good, and then Gifford's a pro's pro. Devondre.
He's actually, and I'll say this, damn good at special teams. Say what you will about him as a down linebacker. He is really good at special teams. So he's delivering on that promise.
In the box as a scrimmage linebacker. He's just not good in coverage. Right. And just you can't use him in coverage. Harry Johnson says Gifford is the white Devondre. We got this one. Any news on Asante Samuel? No news. SB
we'll find out on Wednesday.
Dieter acts real matter of fact on Larry's show, more mellow, cool tone on his own channel. Chill out, bro.
I've never been accused of being mellow and cool. So I've
never heard you be super mellow. I think it's drugs. That has to be drugs.
I'm not doing any drugs.
Well, not on this channel because we have a drug.
I'm just following the prompt. How about this? My natural state is this. Sometimes you have to read the room a little bit. Larry can handle it. Maybe Hutch can't as much. Maybe we need to, be a little bit calmer with Hutch because he's a more analytical mind, and maybe I try to read the room a little bit.
This is your emotions are welcome here.
We're doing sports talk radio, baby. Right. Let's make this happen.
And good sports talk radio at that. Andrew says, Lowry, you need to rip Bourne again. Hey, Bourne, where the hell have you been the last month?
Yeah, tell him, Lowry.
Yeah. Lowry.
He makes a great seasoning.
I'm amazing with the seasoned salt. Just spread a little bit of Lowry seasoned salt on there. All right, that's going to do it for us.
To be fair, Bourne has sucked. That's a fair comment. It has been awful.
Let's talk turkey on that because my thought on that is that JJ is such a powerful presence that Mac Jones JJ is not like everybody else. JJ is his own guy. He goes to the beat of his own drummer, and he is a powerful presence in the room, and he's borderline hostile. So
yes, that's right.
That's it. So guess what?
And Kyle loved
Mac
him.
was there for a few weeks, and JJ wasn't there or whatever. hey, Bourne left, Bourne right. You got total carte blanche to go to Bourne over and over again. As soon as JJ got healthy, and it's like, you're going to Bourne? I need that ball. I mean, they get in the red zone now. They throw the ball to JJ. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because JJ's pouting because he's got incentives that he wasn't getting, he wasn't earning. And to me, that's my theory, is that he somehow has let them know that, hey, I want to get my incentives. Go to me in the red zone, and if you don't go to me in the red zone, I'm not going to be happy. And he's one of the very few guys that they actually care about being happy. So
Kyle plays his favorites.
Yeah.
Kyle plays his favorites. JJ's one of his favorites. And I saw this in the locker room. It's kind of funny because everybody had kind of gravitated towards Bourne. That's where we're at in the season. Kendrick Bourne is like, you got to get in there for an interview. It's like, oh boy,
right.
Things are dire.
Yeah.
But JJ's out and he's kind of yapping. He's just kind of yapping. And none of it really registers because he's always kind of like, you don't look over there. It's like there's something happening and you just, there's probably not an appropriate way to describe it, so I won't. But he's just kind of going on. And Kyle walks in the locker room after his presser. And JJ in a towel goes up to him and like gives him a big hug. And they like have a chat, like a really like close range chat. And then Kyle like keeps walking. And it's like, huh. Yeah, I think that he's going to get the ball more moving forward. Like it was like a thank you for throwing me the ball. So I've been like trusted me and all this. And like JJ yaps, you're right. JJ can be hostile. I don't think it was him going to Mac. I think it's as simple as he went to Kyle and said, hey, Kyle, like I'm good. Get me the ball. And Kyle's like, yeah, I'll get you the ball.
Kyle doesn't have the ball in his hands. Mac does. So you got to reach Mac.
Yeah, no, but Mac's a one-read quarterback right now.
I think Mac knows that if things are going to be copacetic, he's got to go to JJ in the red zone.
I think that Mac just goes to the first read, and the first read is JJ, and no one's separating, so you might as well throw it to him.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been times where he's thrown it to JJ, and JJ is covered.
Yep,
and he's thrown it.
Yeah,
to
we saw
JJ.
that with Brock all last year. They were throwing the ball when JJ is coming out of his break, and there's a dude in his jock strap, and they're still just like, okay, here you go.
I think if Brock's going to JJ, I think Mac's going to Bourne. But now that Mac knows that JJ is going to be pissy, he's going to JJ, and I don't think it's necessarily in their best interest. So we'll see. That's going to do it.
That's the trade. That would have been the trade.
What's that?
Getting rid of JJ.
Get rid of JJ.
I don't think anyone wanted him.
Yeah, I mean, and also you can't look your fans in the eye and say we got rid of this guy and we got this, because you're not getting anything. Nobody's giving you anything good. So it's like, we got rid of this guy that was super important for us. We didn't get anything. Like, well, way to go.
We hashed it out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes from here. But the Niners aren't paying JJ, but they want to make sure that JJ is happy. So they're trying to help JJ get paid, even though it's not going to come from them. And that's the backstory. If you want to know what the backstory is, that's the backstory.
100%.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Habas Law. Thanks to Dieter. And thanks to all of you guys for jumping in here. Always enjoyed chopping it up and talking ball. Andrew, yes, there you go. We tried to rip Born Again, but we didn't.
We did it. Mandate fulfilled. Lowry did it.
Lowry. Howdy says, fun show, fellas. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks to all you guys. Dieter, when do you appear on the radio, or when do you go live again next?
I'll follow you up on Friday. Seems to be a regular spot. They're like, what is the time when people are listening least? Let's use Dieter then. And I say, sure. So Friday night, it's not like I'm have any life that I'm missing, so we're good. And then me and Hutch will be on. We got a weird week here in the Kurtenbach household. Me and Hutch will be on once, perhaps even twice. Who's to say? We usually go Tuesdays, Thursdays. Might end up just being one big ass Wednesday show this week. But you can subscribe to the channel at Dieter Hutch on YouTube, and we'll let you know. If you subscribe, they send out notifications and stuff, so you can know immediately and hang out with my chill, mellow self over on the Dieter and Hutch channel.
And there it is right there at the bottom of the screen, at Dieter Hutch on YouTube. Check him out. These guys do great stuff. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of you. Have a great night. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show. I'm back with you. Today is Tuesday, or today is Monday. So
It's about to be
tomorrow, I will be back with you. Tomorrow morning at 10:30, I'm doing a live stream with Mayoko, and we're going to do a kind of a mid-season. We don't stream together that much, but tomorrow Mayoko and I will stream. You'll also catch me tomorrow with Brianna from the 49ers. We're going to do a show as well over on the Niners platform. And then I'm back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for Niners Nightly.
Not after my little spiel, Larry. Good luck with that one.
Yeah. And then tomorrow night I will stream with the great Raj Melwani, and we'll chop it up tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.